listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? Can we say a football Friday?
Not really.
Why? There's more football stuff than seemingly anything else.
Well, then every day's a football day.
It's a football Friday.
Where's Pat Kirwan right now?
Then it's a football Friday.
Football Friday.
If Pat's on the show, it's a football Friday.
We breaking down the Senior Bowl today? Is that what's happening?
Well, you know that's how it rolls. Come on, Pat spent 4.5 days in Mobile. He's got a lot to get off his chest. That'll be in a couple hours. Top of the morning to you. How are you?
I'm good, David. How's the dog?
Really? Seriously?
Well, David, here's the thing. David beats me to work every single morning.
Right.
I park in one spot. David parks in another.
Right.
Good morning, Ralph. Good morning, Sam. And this morning, to my shock, I pulled in, and the very blue car was not in its spot.
Uh-huh.
And I said, David's having problems with the dog. Because you see, this morning at 4:45 is when I received the show text.
Which
really
is
early.
That is
it's
early.
Great.
Right.
1 minute after my alarm went off. Turn the alarm off. Hey, there's who's on the show. My day is starting off fantastically.
Well, you know what? I'll keep that in mind now. I didn't realize that was your wake-up time. I'll make sure that I do my part so that you have a good day.
Loved it. I got up, and I get here, and I'm like, whoa, where's Moulton?
Quick question. Does the text wake you up?
No, because it was right after the alarm. My alarm was the same exact time,
right,
and I had the same situation.
All right, just want to make
Triple fours, 4:44 is the alarm.
Just want to make sure you both get every single minute, because believe me, when you do mornings, every single minute counts.
Darn right, Moulton. You are on.
Okay.
So I pulled in. The car's not here. I get in. Felipe and I exchanged some pleasantries, and it was still a good 10 minutes before you came in, and I left it alone because I know you're a new grandfather. The wife's with the daughter and the granddaughter, so I know you and Rufus been hanging.
Oh, we've been hanging.
And when you weren't here, I went, Rufus did something.
Well,
Rufus did something. Took too long outside, took too long inside. I don't know, but I have a hunch Rufus did something.
All I know is that dog is undefeated. That dog wins every single day. But got a lot going on. Heading to Jacksonville after the show. Going to see the wife and the daughter and the
granddaughter.
Yeah.
There will be pictures of Grandpa Moulton this weekend. I can't wait.
I'm sure there will be. I won't be sending any of them out, but it won't matter. The women will take care of it.
Yes, they will.
So, just got to get things, got a lot going on.
Yeah, right. I know.
I trashed the house for 2 weeks. I have to get it right because the wife, rumor has it, she's actually coming back. My guess is it's to pack up all her things and go back and leave and never come back. But she's coming back. So I got to get the house all straightened up. It means laundry and dishes and the whole thing. I got to pack to go to Jacksonville. Just the whole thing. I had to go grocery shopping, make sure there's at least food for Monday. That whole thing.
So this is like the guy that waits till the 24th for Christmas shopping.
Oh, well, yeah. Why am I going to do this Wednesday?
No.
I mean,
not casting any judgment here. This is just simply, I got to get everything done right now.
Plus, the dog woke me up 3 times. I got up.
How's your relationship with the dog?
Well, I don't think it matters. I really don't. I mean, dog,
matter.
Wife, I don't really think it matters. I mean, I'm along for the ride at this point.
So, you know who you have something in common with, in my opinion? The Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this.
Because you just stated, you waited. You could have spent all week. You could have picked up a little bit at a time. You could have done a little of this, a little of that, and made your morning a lot easier if you chose to. But you said, Katie, bar the door. I'm going to batch it up this week. And when it's time to go, I'm going to get everything done in 40 seconds. Throw some stuff in the dishwasher, throw in a load of laundry, bada bing, bada boom, I'm out. The Jags have waited 51 days.
I understand, but they were actually trying along the way. I mean, I just trashed the joint until the very end and then just picked it up.
Well, it certainly seems that they did the same thing over the course of the last 50 days, David.
Or Byron Leftwich trashed the joint and then he left at the very end. What I would like to know is, did Leftwich do I'm pulling my name from consideration because 10 minutes later they were announcing someone else? Or did it basically go, Byron, we're offering you the job? And he goes, okay, one last time. Is that guy staying? Yes. Well, then I'm out. And then the Jags had to literally offer the job to Doug Peterson. I mean, that's what I would love to know. Did they offer the job to Leftwich? And ultimately Leftwich said, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I'm pretty serious about I'm not working with Trent Baalke. At which point they said, well, good luck in Tampa Bay in 2022. We're moving on. I mean, don't know if we'll ever know. The Jags are never, no organization ever acknowledges, college or pro, that they offered the job to anyone else that isn't at the press conference. Right, Mark? I mean, you've been through this. Please. No. This guy he's the only guy we offered the job to. All right, which sometimes is technically true, even though it's not true. But you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, it's definitely technically not true here.
Well, it's certainly our belief. I mean, we don't know. When Leftwich was interviewing, and he interviewed the second time, the reports were Leftwich said, hey, I want the job. And if you want me, that's great. But I ain't working with him. I mean, just so you know. And at which point we have to, at least I'm curious, did the Jags actually go forward and say to Byron, well, here's the deal. The job is yours if you want it. Because it's different when you're talking theoretically, and then the other coaching jobs have played themselves out, and it's clear he's not a finalist for any other job. He's not in the mix in Miami. He's not in the mix in Houston. We really have no idea what New Orleans is doing, but we don't think he's in the mix. And so it's kind of, you have to then decide. In theory, last week, you thought you had a little leverage or other jobs you were in the mix for, et cetera. Now, this is it. It's either this or you go back to Tampa with no Tom Brady. So tell me again how much you hate Trent Baalke.
Obviously, quite a bit.
Apparently so, because, apparently Blaine Gabbert and Kyle Trask is a better option than working with Trent Baalke and Trevor Lawrence.
Yes. That's it.
So,
Hey, David, you said this, and everybody pretty much knows it to be true, but you said this first on our show, is that it's pretty obvious that the leaks on Urban came from Baalke.
Yeah, I'm convinced of that.
And these coaches knew that.
Yeah.
And they're not going to work somewhere where it's pretty obvious the minute something starts going wrong, your boss is going to sabotage you.
Mm-hmm. Now, what I think is going to happen here is that Peterson, because he's won a Super Bowl, so he's going to come in. I think he's going to have a little more credibility and eventually clout with Khan than Leftwich or some of the other candidates would have. I think you're going to see all of a sudden like a Rick Spielman show up in Jacksonville, good or bad. I think you're going to see Peterson's going to be able to, I think, get one of his guys.
And that's what they've talked about, someone maybe be named president, director of operations type of role that'll be somewhere as a liaison between the coach and the general manager until the general manager gets fired.
Well, it may not even be a liaison. It may be a guy above him. Right.
But it's someone that the coach can go to as opposed to the general manager.
Right. I've got an ally.
And
here.
You're right. I used the wrong word choice, but there's an ally that he has that he doesn't have to use the general manager for.
Right.
And it's already 2 against 1.
Exactly.
So if things start going well for Peterson and Spielman, who's been interviewed and named, so that's a logical choice why David went there, it's really easy to see how Baalke could be moved out.
So there you have it. We said from the beginning, there were 2 teams, both in the state of Florida, who both, in our estimation, needed to hire someone who has already been a head coach. The Dolphins are at a point where the seesaw could go either way, and you want it to keep going forward. Another winning season next year, which hopefully results in a playoff berth, etc. And Jacksonville, goodness knows, needs to become a credible franchise immediately. They hired an adult.
That's it. Peterson and Caldwell were on our short list the minute the job was open.
Right. And there are others that I would hire as well. I mean, I would hire a Raheem Morris. I would hire a Jim Schwartz, quite frankly. I would hire people who have done it before. And yes, they failed the first time. So did Bill Belichick.
Yeah, Jim Schwartz would be a tough one for me.
I understand.
That would be a tough one.
I understand. But like Dennis Allen's the front runner to get the Saints job. He's their longtime defensive coordinator. He failed as head coach of the Raiders. But that was a while ago now. That's like a decade ago.
No. I understand failing as a coach. There's failing as a coach,
right,
and there's going 0-16 as a coach. It's just a tough one.
It is. There's no doubt about it.
You better win early because you're losing the press conference.
Well, yes.
Now, put it this way. The Miami Dolphins hired Jim Schwartz.
Right. No, I got it. I got it. Mm-hmm. I know. They hire Raheem Morris. I get it. But I would like somebody who's done the job. I don't think we can afford 72 hours of a learning curve. The Dolphins are at a point where, okay, you put back-to-back winning seasons together. That's nice. And you did it all while retooling. 2022, I don't want to say it's a make-it-happen year, but it's kind of a make-it-happen year. We got to go forward. We got to get double-digit wins. Hopefully that gets us in the playoffs. We got to keep on keeping on here. You already took the thing back. You already bottomed out, traded away everybody. This is the time to win. I mean, no offense. This is your roster. You got rid of, whatever we had, brought in all these picks and spent all the money on these players. I mean, if these guys aren't winning, then why the hell do you have the job? I mean, why are we not winning? So that's why, to me, it's risky. You may get it right. I mean, the guy the Vikings hired, my God, you can't find people to say bad things about him. He's been a coordinator for 2 years, and he didn't call the plays either year. Sean McVay did. And yet people rave about him, think he's brilliant, think he will be tremendous. Oh,
we shall see.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I would prefer somebody who's actually been there, done that before.
Yeah, coordinator that's never called plays and now is running an entire team.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
doesn't seem to be the right recipe, but it could work.
Yeah. Now, but then again, to be a leader of men, I don't know if it's important that you've called the play. Run a team, be a leader of men. That's basically what a head coach is.
Right. But an coordinator that doesn't call plays hasn't led a lot of men.
Well, true.
In fact, you could argue hasn't led any.
Right. He's walked around and go, hey, how's it going? Matt.
He's put some plans in. He's put some game plans in and that thing, but he hasn't led anyone. So it'll be fascinating.
Matt, how's it going? All right. Yeah, I was listening to Kelly's podcast last night. Everything all right? I mean, I don't know if that's a leader of men, but we'll see. Miller and Moulton. So the Jags have a coach. We're down to 3. And one of them's still the Miami Dolphins.
It is February the 4th.
Because like we said when they fired Brian Flores, well, obviously they have a plan. I mean, they didn't just indiscriminately fire the guy who had back-to-back winning seasons unless they have a plan. Mark, do they have a plan?
No.
Okay.
Damage control. Their only plan right now is damage control on so many different fronts. 15 minutes after the hour. Got a good show lined up for you. We really do. We'll be all over the place. Miller and Moulton. On what is still a Football Friday. Football Friday.
Wow. I was hoping for a little more than that, got to be honest.
Football Friday?
Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program The Training Grove, with a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, the Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Yes, Arch, I don't want my head coach calling plays, but if I'm hiring a coordinator, I would like to have the coordinator having called a play before. All we pointed out is that the Vikings coordinator has been a coordinator for, or not the Vikings head coach was a coordinator for 2 years that didn't call plays.
Therefore, who did he lead? Tomlin did for a year. Tomlin was defensive coordinator at Minnesota for a year before he got the Steelers job.
And if Harbaugh did, it would have been a head coach at San Diego State or Stanford. And I don't know the answer to that.
I think he's talking John Harbaugh. Harbaugh was the special teams coordinator. And the case has been made that the special teams coordinator outside of the head coach is the only coach on the staff that actually has to get to know everyone.
Deals with both sides of the ball.
Arch, not necessarily. Like, Daboll's not going to call the plays with the Giants. There's no doubt. Some coaches want to keep doing their thing.
Is yesterday's poll question still up? Because I think I might vote for the Jags now.
It should be about done. I don't know.
What are you talking about?
It's
McDaniels goes to Miami. McDaniels is the Raiders head coach.
No, Mike McDaniel. He's talking about the
gotcha,
OC there.
sorry.
Wait, McDaniels went to the Raiders?
Josh McDaniels.
Oh, what about Mike?
Yeah.
He hasn't gone anywhere yet.
That's what Dolphins talking about.
Right.
No, I mean, can we be any more clear? If we were doing the hiring in Miami, we would hire someone who's been a head coach before. And if that means we miss out on apparently the next great coach, Mike McDaniel, who doesn't call plays either, by the way, in San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan does. But, that's all. And we may screw it up. We may get it wrong. But we would hire someone who's been a head coach before.
Wow. Mike Bianchi, the 96.9 The Game, was just a great, great poll question. Today's National Bubblegum Day. What old school brand of gum would you rather chew? Double Bubble, Big Lead Chew, Bazooka, Hubba Bubba Bubble Tape. I'd go with Double Bubble.
That's a tough one.
Bazooka.
You go with Double Bubble?
Yeah.
That's my preferred choice. But I really like the tape. Man, I used to carry those with me. My back pocket in the outfield.
DC, it's funny how Brad Childress is not looked upon fondly, and yet he won a division title with Tavares Jackson as his quarterback, and then was a play away from going to the Super Bowl.
So Sean Payton is just leaving the Saints or retiring?
I left the Saints. He's taking a break. Remember, he's under contract with the Saints for 3 more years. So if he decides in a year or two that he wants to go back to coaching, someone's going to have to acquire him from the Saints.
Right. I just can't believe that. Yeah, when they fired him, we were like, okay, but they have someone.
We thought they had Harbaugh.
Yeah, they've got someone. It's okay. Okay, whatever. It sucks that they fired him, but we have a plan. We don't have a plan. This is probably the hardest it's ever been to be a Dolphins fan.
I don't know. When you were 7, they went 1-15.
Damn.
Oh,
The same year.
All right. So we go over there. We're in our first act. We've been together a year.
Wait, we got 10 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Approaching 22 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you. Happy Friday, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. The Florida Sports Network. The starting five coming up in about 15 minutes' time. Did you see that Mattress Mac is back in action? You familiar with Mattress
The Houston
Mac?
guy?
The Houston mattress
Right.
salesman.
Likes
there.
to gamble.
Jim McInvale is his name. Right. Now, he can't gamble in Texas. So he literally has to get in the car and drive across the border into Louisiana.
Gamble there.
And so he got in his car yesterday and drove a little while and got across the border and pulled over and took out his phone and made a $4.5 million wager on the Super Bowl.
Ooh. Who'd he bet on?
He's taking the Bengals and the money line. Wow. Plus 170.
What was it, 320 before he made the bet?
$4.5 million plus 170. He'd win $7.7 million.
Don't you wish once you could just do that?
Well, you know how many times we've done the if we won the lottery game?
Yeah, you're buying arena football teams. I'm this guy.
Right. That's what I was going to get to. All right. Jim McInvale. And I know some people go, oh, wasting all that money gambling, what have you. Listen,
It's his money.
What's the line in Billions? What's the point of having blank you money if you can't just say blank you?
That's right.
And Jim McInvale's got blank you money. And so he drives across the border to Louisiana, pulls over a little dirt patch and says, hold on, make sure we got good Wi-Fi here. I need to place this bet on my cell phone.
It's so spectacular.
4.5. Just by the way, when you're doing that mobily, one more. Does the computer for a second go, hold on, is that a second comma?
You know what I find funny is that, I don't know, when you transfer money or if you've done any banking online, and usually you get that ask, are you sure that you want to do this?
Right. Just need to confirm this bet. And so you look
Can you
at it and
confirm
you go,
this $4.5 million bet?
well, let me see. Let's go through here. We got
Comma,
yep,
50. Yep.
second comma,
Confirm.
right? Yep, got the 4 before the comma. Yep, that's
That's when the phone goes, are you sure?
Right. Any 7-figure bet, you get the part that never comes up. Are you really sure about this?
In fact, I think your mother should pop up out of the phone and go, are you absolutely sure that you want to do this? Yes,
Jim?
Mother, I am.
Jim. Yeah. So there you go. He's got the Bengals and the money line. Now, the last time that I think we really heard from this guy was a couple years ago, Astros in the World Series losing to the Nats. And of course, he's based out of Houston. So he was just pounding bets on the Astros. And they lost the first 2 games of that series at home, and he's still pounding bets on the Astros. And when they go to Washington and win the middle 3, you're like, look at this dude. He is a stud. He's going to be cashing. He ended up betting, I think, all told, it was like $3+ million on the Astros to win the World Series. He's coming home. They got their 2 best pitchers. They got Verlander and Cole lined up ready, or Verlander and Greinke with Cole able to come out of the bullpen in game 7. And you're like, well, hell, they're going to win one of these 2 games. This guy's going to cash $3.5 million. Good for him, right? No, loser, no chicken dinner.
None whatsoever.
So there it is. When you're watching the Super Bowl in a little over the week, just think of the mattress guy in Houston pulled over on his phone, 4.5 schmil.
What's the most you've ever bet on one game?
On a game?
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to acknowledge this or not.
So there's a comma.
Yeah.
First number crooked?
No.
So you bet $1,000 on a game.
I did bet $1,000 on a game.
Most I've bet is 500, and I've done that a lot. The Sacramento Kings second half comeback for 500 with a 3-pointer is one of the greatest betting wins I've ever had in my life.
Brad Evans was lamenting the fact that Patrick Ewing was fouling with 45 seconds to go last night, down 16. And because of all the fouling, they hit enough free throws that the second half total went over.
I feel it.
So, yes, I have in a former life.
Oh, exactly.
Right.
We were going through a group text, and I may have said this on the air, but I've had a good, as it's been pointed out, I've had a good playoff run here.
Yeah.
9-3 against the numbers so far.
Right.
And I had just kind of pointed it out in a group chat, and one of them, well, he could make that happen for me. He says, do you want a number? And I said, yes, but I love my wife and children very much.
Right. So do me a favor. Make sure one of those digits is wrong.
Right. So, no, I don't want a number. I do, but I don't.
That would be a poll question.
What's the most you've ever wagered on a...
Well, or have you ever bet? First off, have you just ever bet, all right, on a sporting event? Even that, I would be very curious as to what the results are. Have you ever bet on a sporting event? And I don't mean like you and your buddy have $20. I mean like...
You ever wagered with a bookie, casino?
Yes.
Online service.
Right. On a sporting event.
With a guy.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Because that counts. I mean, your buddy on the AT, $20 doesn't count.
Here's the deal. If you've paid with a VIG, it counts.
There you go.
If when you win, it's X, but if you lose, it's Y.
Correct.
That's a wager.
Right.
$5 with your dad is not a wager.
Not at all. No. So I think that's a decent poll question. Could leave it up for the weekend. I know we had talked about another poll question, but
we may have 5 or 6 today. We may go all Levitard on you.
Wow. It's one of those moods, huh?
I'm in a good mood today.
You are. Well, it's Friday. Should be in a good mood. This should be a big honeydew weekend, though. Let's be honest. Come on now. You've put a lot of things off and I don't mean you. I mean just in general. You think about it. Big weekend coming up next weekend. Super Bowl followed the very next day by Valentine's Day. I mean, next weekend should be a doubleheader. I mean, don't you have to do Valentine's Day on Saturday?
If you're going to celebrate it, yes.
Right. Well, if you have a Valentine, I think it's good advice to celebrate it. Because
suppose.
Well, if you have a Valentine and don't celebrate it, there's a very good chance by the next Valentine's Day, you will either A, not have a Valentine, or B, not have that Valentine.
You're right. And after going through Publix and once again being just floored by the price of cards, I'll be at the dollar store in the next couple of days to buy a Valentine's Day card.
I don't know if cards are as necessary as they used to be.
They are in our house.
Oh, okay.
You understand, my wife sends birthday cards to nearly everyone.
No, I get that. Oh, trust me. I know. No, the handwritten stuff.
Right.
Oh, no, she's one of those. I get it.
So therefore, I have no choice but to get a card.
All right, fair enough. I mean, because I have, been with a Valentine who has said, save the money on the card. I understand that you love me. I get it.
She also says save the money on the flowers.
Well, yeah, I know. She's amazing that way. I mean,
save the money on the jewelry.
I have the best Valentine ever.
Right. You buy a box of chocolates and Mrs. Gump is happy for weeks.
Got that right. And if it's dark chocolate with almonds, I mean, smoke them if you got them.
Throw that Starbucks gift card in there.
I mean,
That's a home run right there,
I'll go
David.
crazy. I'll get her 2 bags of the Hershey's dark almonds chocolates. I mean, I'll go all out. Top stuff. Miller and Moulton. The starting 5
Hershey's
is
with
next.
almonds.
That's right. Nothing but the
He
best.
just said it.
Nothing.
I'm going to get her 2 bags.
2 bags, not 1. It's Valentine's Day.
She weighs like 100 pounds tops.
Right, here you
Let's
go.
get her 2 bags.
Here you go.
Not go out and get her.
Yep. Here you go. This shows 25 years of marriage. I really love you.
He walks in. There's your chocolate.
No, it's a little better than that. I mean, I build it up. I put them in the cupboard, without her seeing. And then eventually she makes her way into the kitchen, and then you go, honey, have you checked the pantry? She opens up the pantry. I mean, nothing says middle-aged married moment quite like, hey, open up the pantry and see your gift.
If you think that's exciting, you should just see Saturday nights around there.
Ooh, man, come 5:30, quesadilla time. Look out. Starting 5 is next. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
By the way, see, and I'm not knocking you. I was saying this last night to myself because Eve went to bed when she got home from work. She feels terrible. So I put Maddie to bed by about 9 o'clock because of softball last night. I'm like, oh, crap, that's right. UCLA's on. Kind of excited. David said they're on at 8 o'clock. I'm like, perfect. I get to watch a little UCLA before 11 o'clock. And I started laughing. I almost texted you. Because you're saying Florida Sports Network to try to get people to understand that we're the Florida Sports Network. And I know why you say it. You're trying to brand us. I get it. And I'm just sitting there feeling a little silly watching Walton. I'm like, and I just said out loud to Noah, I go, I wonder who says it more, Moulton Florida Sports Network or Walton Conference of Champions. He got it out 4 times.
Was he with Pash
yesterday?
God almighty. Pash handles him really well.
I gave up on trying to get Moulton. This man and his wife are set in his ways. You don't go with the Dove. You don't go with the Norman Love. You go with Hershey's.
Yeah.
It just is what it is.
Listen, Spitz, it's not my fault. Honestly, it's not my fault. I'm a romantic. All right. When we were dating, and then literally she's like, yeah, I'm not interested in this stuff. I'm like, what do you mean you're not interested in this stuff? You're a woman. Not interested. She was okay with flowers until the cats started eating them.
You don't have cats anymore.
I know that. I literally said that. I go, we haven't replaced the cats.
I think you should surprise her. You're going away this week, and I think you should buy flowers today.
She would. Oh my God.
She would get mad.
Yeah.
Even if if they were the Publix 3 for $12, I'm not saying go to a damn florist.
I'm going to do it for Valentine's Day. I am.
And
I
go
will
to
get,
Publix.
I
The
will
3
get
for $12
flowers.
when they last.
I will get flowers.
Like I will literally say,
and I will put them on the table, and I go, we don't have any damn cats. All right.
I'm
getting you flowers.
I've bought flowers at florists. I've bought them everywhere. Publix flowers are literally the best flowers that are out there from a standpoint of how long they last.
So, Felipe, we go across the alley. We're going to the Dolphins, and we're doing a live broadcast from the stadium. The Dolphins had promised us they're going to have players and a coach and the whole deal. And so, sure enough, they have a couple of players for us, a couple of former players for us.
This is 07.
Yeah, and they get us Cam Cameron, who they've just hired to be their head coach. Nick Saban has left, and they hired Cam Cameron. And we do the interview. We're one of only 2 stations to get him. and we do a pretty long interview with him. And it was near the end of the show, and Cam leaves, and we come out and we do like our final segment, and I go, so Mark, what do you think? And Mark says,
Butterflies.
Mark starts looking around going, oh, that's nice. Look, butterflies. Yeah, you see the nice, pretty butterflies.
That's all he was to me.
And that was it. And so now this is a month before the season. You know, they won 15 games in the last 2 years. We think they're around a 7-8 win team.
Because when we're talking to him, he'd answer questions and he's looking around and he's just kind of
like Adam Gase.
He was just
yes.
He was just
Like-
offensive coordinator with the Chargers. All right. They had just gone 14-2. All right. Marty gets fired. He doesn't get the jobs. He gets the Dolphins job. And so we're like, oh, okay. Prolific offense, right. Mm-hmm.
He was out there, man. That dude was out there.
So sure enough, they go 1-15. And I give Mark credit. From minute one, he was like, I don't think this is going to work.
Who was our draft pick the next year?
Jake Long.
Jake
Yeah,
Long.
the first pick of the draft.
Could have taken Matt Ryan, took
Right.
Jake Long.
You took Jake Long because you had Chad Pennington. Why do you need Matt Ryan?
Right.
Oh, Bill Fitch died. I didn't have that.
Ooh. Yeah, I didn't realize this early in the game. One of our best players blew her knee out, just screaming.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
pretty
the
ugly.
hockey player.
Yeah,
right.
pretty ugly. They kind of went down together, and I don't know if you saw that. She went back.
$20 seconds.
Wasn't Bill Fitch the 81 Celtics? I thought he was.
$10 seconds. That bubblegum thing inspired me.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Pat Kirwan will join us 2 hours from now, live from Mobile, Alabama. Tom Luginbill to join us at the top of our bonus hour. Talk all things college football, and there is a lot to discuss in college football, on and off the field. But there's always a lot to discuss with
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
shortly after Byron Leftwich said, I'm taking myself out of the running to be the Jags head coach. The Jags turned to Doug Peterson, who won a Super Bowl in 2017 with the Eagles. He's the new head coach in Jacksonville. There was a congressional hearing yesterday about the inner workings of the Washington Commanders organization, in which multiple women alleged literally a few thousand examples of sexual harassment and misconduct by quite a few members of the organization over, about a 13-year period of time. We'll see if anything comes of this. Remember, the NFL's already cleared Daniel Snyder. They would have to, reverse tracks and say, upon further review, maybe we'll look into this. Don't hold your breath. The Giants and the Broncos have both now come out and strongly denied and are really, clapping back, if you will, at Brian Flores and his allegations of sham interviews and other bad behavior. I mean, Elway did say, basically you're defaming me here. Okay. I mean, you didn't just say it was a sham interview. You said I showed up, an hour late and hungover. Yeah. I mean, whether drunk, hungover, whatever the case may be.
But the implication
Right.
when you say someone was out the night before, that they're basically saying they're still drunk in the morning.
I will say the Broncos did come back and go, yeah, you were getting ready for the Super Bowl and you gave us like a very short window and we had a job interview halfway across the country the night before and we flew in the middle of the night and got in at like 2 and then interviewed you first thing in the morning. So we'll see where it goes from here. Apparently, Brian Flores is one of 3 finalists for the Houston job. Sean Salisbury wants them to hire him. Josh McCown, who's never coached a day in his life, journeyman quarterback, been out of football last year. Most people think he's going to get the gig. That'll be a bad look. And we mentioned it earlier, but Mattress Mac, Jim McIlvail, just placed $4.5 million on the Bengals on the money line. There are 3 head coaching vacancies left in the NFL, by the way. Houston, New Orleans, and your Miami Dolphins. College football. Be interesting to see what happens here. Alabama defensive coordinator Pete Golding went out and got himself a DUI. Will that cost him his job? I guess is no.
No.
I guess is no.
Is he a player?
Well, no.
Okay.
I mean, he is their defense coordinator, though.
I got you.
But my guess is that Nick believes in – Nick's a lot like Bobby Bowden. Nick believes in giving guys second chances but disciplining them. But that cutting them loose, he feels, is the worst thing you can do. The number 1 recruit in the class of 2023.
I want to backtrack just quickly. Look, and I know DUIs are serious, and I'm not trying to make light of a DUI. How drunk do you have to be to get a DUI in Alabama as the Alabama defensive coordinator?
I don't know where he got the DUI. I'm assuming it was near Tuscaloosa, but
right. I mean,
right.
Even if it was an Auburn fan, doesn't he just say, yeah, I know I'm an Auburn guy, but I'm going to take care of you because my Alabama guys would take care of my Auburn guy. I mean, we've got an unwritten rule here.
I'm guessing this was a small town, wherever it was. And it was a young officer who didn't think big picture. So, we're already moving ahead to the class of 2023, Mark. And apparently the number 1 recruit in the country is a defensive lineman out of Georgia named Lebius Overton. Well, he's a 4.0 student. His parents are teachers, and they've been talking about it for a while. He's been taking extra classes and all this. He can graduate early, and so he's going to. And he's going to reclassify himself. And so he said, I'm going to make my decision in April as to where it is I'm going to school next year. Going to show up in the summer, and I'll be ready to play in August or September at either Georgia, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Oregon, or Texas A&M.
All righty then.
It's a new world, Mark. It's a new world. College basketball, 7th-ranked Arizona at home took care of 3rd-ranked UCLA, 76-66. But the bigger story could be UCLA forward Mac Etienne arrested walking off the court for spitting at an Arizona fan, charged with assault with intent to injure, provoke, or insult another person.
A lot of ors there.
Yeah.
Definitely the insult part I think would fit. I don't think the injure part would fit, but the insult part would fit.
Provoke. You could
definitely would fit.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it fits. He was not placed in handcuffs. He was, however, arrested. He is going to have to make an appearance, if you know what I mean. I don't know if they'll allow him to do it virtually or what have you, but it's a story you don't hear every day. A player, first off, spitting at a fan and then getting arrested. You don't see that every day.
No.
You don't see it every year.
No.
I don't know if you see it every decade.
I was going to say, I don't recall ever seeing it.
2nd-ranked Gonzaga, 19th-ranked USC, also victorious. It was a great night if you play college basketball in the state of Florida. Florida schools went 7-1, and the only reason they went 7-1 was because 2 of them played each other. UCF beat South Florida by 19. FGCU won in overtime. FIU won by 10. FAU won by 10. Stetson won at Lipscomb by 6. North Florida won at Jacksonville State by 12. And Jacksonville won at North Alabama by 6. And it continued on the women's side, Mark. The Gators took the Lady Vols to the woodshed. A 25-point win for Florida against 7th-ranked Tennessee. That interim coach is not only going to get the job full-time, she may be SEC Coach of the Year at this rate.
It is amazing. And I know 8 people care about women's basketball, but the men's coach was not a good dude and got blown out. And now they're playing.
Yeah.
Shocking, isn't it?
Same group of players.
But shocking.
And they've been a grease fire.
They're not getting berated anymore. They're not getting balls thrown at them.
Right.
I mean,
and imagine that.
And they're playing well.
They actually like the sport again, and they want to go to practice.
Wow.
Yeah. FGCU, a winner on the road. It was their coach's Carl Semesco's 600th win. He got to 600 wins 8 games sooner than Pat Summitt did. That's pretty good.
That's
you're mentioned in the same sentence with
pretty
anything.
rarefied air right there.
Mm-hmm. NBA, Draymond Green says he's going to be out another 3 to 4 weeks with his back injury. Golden State beat Sacramento last night by 12. Clippers, after blowing a double-digit lead, beat the Lakers by 1. Trae Young with 43 to snap Phoenix's 11-game winning streak. Hawks a winner by 9. Toronto in overtime beat the Bulls by 7. The Heat, well, San Antonio was good to them last night after losing a couple. The Heat won by 17, and the T-Wolves are a couple games over 500. I think they're the 7 seed in the West.
They'll figure out a way to blow this.
They actually have some talent. But they beat Detroit by 11. Bill Fitch passed away yesterday. Bill Fitch, 89 years old. He was the head coach of the Celtics when they won their first of their 3 titles with Larry Bird in 1981. Bill Fitch was the head coach of the University of North Dakota when Phil Jackson played for what was then the Fighting Sioux. Legend has it that they were losing at halftime to their arch rival, North Dakota State. Bill Fitch turned the lights out in the locker room. All right, it was completely dark, and fired a gun into the ceiling. All right, turned the lights on and said something to the effect of, "You don't want to come back here in an hour." Okay? And walked out. Sioux came back and won. That's a legendary story. I have asked numerous people. None of them on the record have confirmed it. They've all confirmed it off the record.
That's outstanding.
Bill Fitch was also coach of the New Jersey Nets when Derek Coleman fined Derek Coleman, and Coleman showed up the next day with a blank check signed, and Bill Fitch said, "What is this for?" And Coleman said to add up the fines at the end of the year and just fill it in. Bill Fitch was 89. Golf at Pebble. Is it Hogue?
I think it's Hogue.
Tom Hogue, a 963, 1 shot off the course record at Pebble. He has a 1-shot lead. In Fort Myers, the Drive-On Championship, a little windy yesterday, yet Marina Alex and Nasa Hataoka both shot 7 under. Jessica Korda had to withdraw midway through the round, as if she had a back injury. The Olympics are underway.
Yes, they are.
And yet the opening ceremonies are tonight. I love that. They've been underway for like 36 hours.
Yes, they have.
Then we're going to have a ceremony.
Mixed doubles curling's been going on, David.
All right, be honest. Have you watched?
Norway and Italy last night.
Was it you putting it on or your wife?
It was curling. It was me putting it on.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you could see, if you were watching on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel, you could see the intensity in his eyes when I asked that follow-up question. He looked at me like, "What the hell do you think put it on?"
It's not figure skating, for crying out loud.
It's curling.
94 Lillehammer.
That's in our second act. All right.
I had a curling shirt.
You did.
I went online and bought a USA curling shirt. I would wear it out, and people would always comment, and I would look at them and go, "Yeah, 94 Lillehammer. I was a sweeper." And no one ever had the kahunas to really say much of it. Really? Yeah. And then I'd just leave it at that.
what was it that our former producer used to say when he was out on the dating scene? He would say that he invented the weather app?
No. He invented something for Google Maps.
Right. That's it. It was Google Maps.
Yeah, he had something to do with Google Maps.
Right. I'm the guy who did
right.
this. Right. I'll
never worked for him once.
No, please. No. But I mean, what are you going to do? You would think, yeah, okay, I could see somebody looking like you doing this. Yeah, sure. So opening ceremonies are tonight. Apparently there's going to be 37 people there. It's going to be awkward. And the announcers are going to be in New York. It's the
Everything
Olympics.
About this is terrible.
I mean, think about it. Mike Tirico, hey, listen, I'm going to interrupt doing the Olympics. I got to host the Super Bowl. I mean, that's the other thing. I just realized that. I'm like, hold on. He's host of the Olympics and the Super Bowl?
On the same day.
On the same day. Well, technically the Olympics, I think, will have just ended hours before the Super Bowl.
Or have just started.
All right. This is in my wheelhouse now. Curling, this is my wheelhouse. Baseball. So the owners yesterday, bear with me, the owners yesterday said, yeah, we're done negotiating. All right. We want a third-party mediator to come in now and handle this. Okay. Here's the deal with a third-party mediator. The players do not have to accept what the owners are selling here. Players can look right back at them and go, no. But if they do accept it, and the mediator does all the work and this, that, and the other thing, and says, okay, here's the deal that I see for you guys, it's non-binding. Either side could go, nah, I don't think so. What? Come on. You got to admit, whether you care or not, the owners have no interest in making it. The owners are convinced that if they sit there, this is like a divorce proceeding, and one side is just going to sit there and go, no.
Please. It was uncomfortable the first time. I don't have to go through this again, do I?
That's what's going on in Major League Baseball right now.
It really is.
And the
owners, we want a federal mediator. But if we don't like what the federal mediator has to say, we're going to throw the federal mediator out of the room and tell you guys that we're starting over.
Well, but it's the same with the players. The players can even agree with, sure, we'll take the mediator. This will be great. And then if they don't like what the solution the mediator comes up with, they can go, no, I don't think so.
I will say, not that the owners care, when a mediator comes through and says, here's what's best for both sides, whatever side disagrees does look terrible.
I will say the third party is independent, and it's been used before to a lot of success lately, by the way. It helped in the NHL. It's helped with MLS. But
it helps in general if people are willing to listen.
Well, right.
But who has any belief that the owners are willing to listen?
No one. Ever since they got their doors handed to them in 94, the owners have basically looked at the players and said, drop dead. That's our answer to your proposal. And that was
the Starting Five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So if you think there's going to be spring training in the near future, you need to be drug tested.
And no, they are not doing those tests outside of the stadiums across Florida. Those are a different test.
There's not enough time for spring training to start on time if they did a deal tomorrow. And now the owners are like, yeah, we've been talking for 3 weeks, and I don't even want to talk to you anymore. Miller and Moulton. Top of the morning to you. Thanks for being with us on this first Friday in February on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
He did. Yep. Fitch took the Rockets to the 86 finals, ironically against the Celtics. So he was on the winning side in 81 and the losing side in 86. Bill was tough. He was old school. He was no nonsense. Hall of Famer, though, Bill Fitch. Dandy, I believe that's called the Green Bay Packers.
All right, I've got something to hear. Well, should we do a little Dolphins lawsuit talk, or what do you want to do here? We need a poll question. I've got Rock and Roll Hall of Fame stuff that we have to get to.
Okay, we can do that 7:18 if you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, you bring up whatever you want to bring up here.
I just didn't know. I mean, well, I don't think we've talked a lot about the Dolphins. That's my only, But I don't know how you talk about it. I mean, because there's no new news either.
DC, they had the Twin Towers, right?
They had Ralph Sampson and
Hakeem
Hakeem Olajuwon
Olajuwon.
at the same time, yeah.
Second year Hakeem Olajuwon, too. Fresh out of Houston. I think that Joel Embiid can be like he looks like Hakeem sometimes. The way that he plays. Like when he's dominating the paint. It's unbelievable. His footwork, his moves, his size, his touch.
He's not as Hakeem could do all that and
play elite defense.
Yeah.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Minute and a half past the top of the hour. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. The guests start next hour. Just us for the time being. You can follow the show, the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel. You can then follow, subscribe, watch, chat in the Twitch chat room. You can text the show, FSN Radio. If you never have before, just type FSN Radio, all one word. Send it to 21,000. You're in. If you've already done that, text away. I mean, Mark hits refresh all the time. The texts are right in front of him. Rather enjoys the text. There are times when I'm talking like now and he's reading text, not listening to a word I say.
That's not true. I haven't even put the text line up today. I feel like I've slighted our audience today.
You really have. Especially since we've already been hot and heavy in our first hour.
You're absolutely right. I have a question for you. Because the league has announced that they are going to investigate Brian Flores' claims that the Miami Dolphins were going to pay him to tank.
Right.
We have the reporter,
Cameron Wolf, from the NFL Network,
who says he has proof.
Says he talked to somebody who's essentially a witness to one of those conversations that the owner had with Flores.
Flores and his attorneys say they have proof.
Right. We got more than that even.
Who's investigating this again? The NFL.
Right.
Do any of you believe that if the NFL finds something, they'll do something about it?
I think it depends on how good Flores' evidence is, honestly. And I say that because we're in a new world with gambling. And the only thing that I think you and I believe that could ever really take down a major pro sports league that is firmly established in North America is a gambling scandal in which people come to the conclusion, I don't think these games are on the up and up. I don't trust them.
Which gets me back to my original point. If the NFL is investigating, why would they want any of this information to come to the forefront? I mean, they have had the ability to bury so much information. We really think that we're going to get to the bottom of this whole Washington football team, now Commander-in-Chiefs situation?
Right. Ultimately, what is this about? It's about tanking, which has been going on in the NFL for a long time.
Right.
I mean, it goes all the way back to, there was a time when you had an NFL team and an AFL team and they were competing for the rights to so-and-so. That was a bidding war. But then it really started after the merger. The very first draft, I believe, after the merger was Terry Bradshaw at number 1. And as it turned out, the Steelers ended up with the first pick and the Falcons didn't have it. And teams have been tanking in some way, shape, or form ever since. They have.
Andrew Brandt yesterday tweeted out what I thought was fantastic regarding the Dolphins. That he said that the Miami Dolphins, and I've got to find it, but to the end, basically that the Miami Dolphins are accused of tanking and they traded a draft pick that they're in the spot they're in for to a team who tanked to get to where they were in the draft. Because the Eagles last year, pulled Hurts at halftime? What was the game in which they pulled Jalen Hurts? Right?
Last game of the year.
Right.
and they were within one score. I think it was like 2-3 points, and Hurts had just led them on a scoring drive. And if Philly had won, Washington would not have won the East. The Giants would have. And Philly pulls Jalen Hurts from the game and puts in Nate Sudfeld, who's been with the team for a few years. And the reasoning afterwards was, well, we just had to get a look at Sudfeld in game action. And everybody looked around and go, really? Nate Sudfeld's the future of the Eagles. You had to get a look at Nate Sudfeld. And the Eagles, I don't think, got a first down the rest of the game. Washington won. They won the East. The Giants are really happy about it as an organization. And it's one of those things you just stash in the back of your mind. All right. And Doug Peterson, by the way, the coach for that game. And Doug Peterson was the one that had to face the music afterwards and with a straight face tell everybody we just needed to take a look at Sudfeld. But it also helped the Eagles draft position.
And then they would then use that draft pick to trade with the Miami Dolphins.
Right. And acquire an extra first-round pick, which is in a much better spot this year than it would have been, et cetera, et cetera. Right. But numerous examples of it over the years. There are also famous examples of teams that just put their head down and kept playing and won games that cost them elite players. The Packers, heading into the final game of the season, were in line to get Troy Aikman. And Lindy Infante, I believe, was their head coach, and they had like 2 wins and a tie, and they went out and won final game of the year, and they dropped down to number 2. Cowboys were number 1. They took Aikman. I think the Packers took Mandarich.
I mean, I think the Jags and Lions both won on the same week this year. So, I mean,
right.
You know, they're both looking for the first overall pick. If one of them loses that game, they would have been in a better position, but they both win the same week. So, obviously, it's on both sides. All right. Let's just move this a little bit forward. Let's just say there's some there. And I don't think the NFL investigators are going to like to give us a lot of the there. Could they force Ross out without giving us anything publicly? I mean, doesn't the public disclosure, if someone thinks the end game is that Ross could lose this team, and I do believe that that's a possibility, won't they have to give us full disclosure? Or can they get away with middling this a little bit, David?
Well, first off, in theory, Flores and his team are going to give us full disclosure that there's nothing the NFL can do to prevent us from getting this. I mean, they've already released texts. I mean, I got to admit, if I was Brian Flores, I mean, you probably just ruined your relationship with Bill Belichick. I would not have released that text conversation. I would have just said there are sham interviews going on. I would not have released that. I mean, you really want to go there? You're 40 years old, man. By the way, he hires former assistants back all the time and rehabilitates them so they can go back out into the real world again. Are you sure you wanted to do this? But so I don't think there's anything the NFL can do to prevent Flores' camp from just burning the whole house down. Number one. Number two, if you're the NFL, I think you can have your cake and eat it too. I think you could privately acknowledge, yeah, they were going out of their way to tank. I mean, they were, and but the head coach was still trying to win. I mean, they were giving him chicken blank.
Right.
He was still trying to make chicken salad out of it. But, the NFL could do an NBA lottery thing here with their first overall pick, which would, in theory, eliminate all this stuff. I mean, fine. You want to keep tanking? Great. I don't know what to tell you. We're taking the bottom 5-6 teams and we're doing the whole, ping pong ball thing. We're going to do 150 ping pong balls. You have the worst record. You get 30 of them. The second worst gets 25 and 20 and 15 and 10 and 5. And then we bounce them all up. And the first 6 picks end up being what the first 6 picks end up being.
And by the way, I'm all for that.
You are?
Oh, gosh, yes.
Okay.
And I say it for this reason. I'm just thinking from a marketing standpoint. Dave, that's an hour-long television show on the NFL Network that everybody would watch. Tell me you're not locked. If there's a ping pong ball thing for the first overall pick in the NFL, you're not watching?
Oh, I'm totally in. I
mean, that is a great 60-minute television event right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally in. I think we all are.
In fact, I could see us going out on the town playing beer pong while they're doing ping pong balls.
That's a live remote. No question about it. even with us having to get up early the next day.
Doesn't matter.
We'll be like John Elway on the next morning show. That's okay.
Only basketball was that cool.
Wouldn't be the first time.
No, it really wouldn't. So but if you're the NFL, you could come to the conclusion, go, listen, the Dolphins aren't the only ones. I mean, we all know the stories. And you know what? There's a way around this. And now that we have gambling, that is, if not prolific, it's damn close. That, you know what? Maybe we have to do something about this. Maybe the worst record, you do not guarantee the first overall pick. Because if you and I just did that off the top of my head. And math on radio is not the best radio, but humor me. 30, 25, 20, that's 75, 90, 100. You know what I mean?
You got to figure out how many teams you're going to, you have your determination. You have to figure out, because basketball, I think everybody has a shot.
Well, they do it. Everybody who doesn't make the playoffs. I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't either.
I would only do like 5 or 6 teams. I mean, there's a part of me, what I'd really like to do is have the line of demarcation be 4.5. If you've won 5 or more games, I don't want you in the lottery. I really don't. And I don't care. I just, because 5 and 12, to me, if you're 4 and 13, you've won less than 1 out of every 4 games. You're a bad team. You're in the lottery as far as I'm concerned.
I have trouble with your philosophy off the hop, David, even though we could go back through records and probably find you to be right. What happens the year that there's only one team at 4 and 13 and everybody else gets to 5 wins? I would just like to limit it to a number of teams.
I'm with
as
you.
opposed to an over-under number. Just for that stupid reason, because something crazy could happen.
Yes, it's the safer way to go. I mean, let's be honest. You just pick whatever the number is. Like, for example, the Jets are 4 and 13, and they've got the 4th overall pick of the draft. I mean, teams with 4 or less wins are the Jets, Houston, Jacksonville, the Giants, the Lions. There's your top 5.
Yep, you'd have 5 this year. And if you add it under 6 teams, Carolina gets thrown into the mix. I'd go 5 or 6 teams, and I have no problem with 6.
Pick a number.
And telling the worst team that they're guaranteed no worse than the 3rd pick.
And I would keep the number at 5.
Whatever.
Right.
But you've got to me, I've got to guarantee that Jacksonville picks no worse than 3rd.
Oh, no, I would never do that. Absolutely not.
Oh, really?
It's why I would also make the number smaller. I would just say, well, the worst you're going to get is the 5th pick. That's still not bad. It's pretty good. Get one of the top 5 players in the draft. Hey, I don't know what to tell you. You suck. I mean, that's on you. There's a price to pay. There's no guarantee you get the first overall pick. Luck of the draw.
And I would guarantee that the worst team finished, if you're doing 5 or 6, I'd just make sure that they get the 3rd pick. If they don't get one of the final 2, then you're locked into the 3rd spot.
But to me, that might be a way that the NFL never acknowledges any wrong here, but just says, you know what, we're thinking forward. And we don't want any more allegations of tanking. Okay, we don't. Okay, and we're going to take an extra step to say, you know what, if you are going to tank, no guarantee you're going to get the first overall pick. In fact, we're going to have, 150 ping pong balls in here, and you're only going to have a 1 in 5 chance or whatever it is. I mean, that's the other thing. Do you want to do? Do you want to weight it, or do you just want to give them all the same number of ping pong balls?
I would weight it.
So first,
slightly.
Jacksonville would have the most ping pong balls, and go Detroit, Houston, blah, blah, blah. Jets, Giants, do it in that order.
Right.
Okay. But you're in favor, then I don't know if we want this to be a poll question, but
should the NFL go to a lottery system
to determine the top
determine the top picks?
Yeah.
To eliminate tanking.
To eliminate tanking, should the NFL go to an NBA-like draft lottery?
I like it.
Okay.
We just stumbled into a poll question.
We did. We got a lot of them, I have to admit. Off air.
We may have more.
We've nominated about 7. Most days we can't come up with one.
And we won't remember any of the other ones by Monday.
There are those pointing out that Ross has a financial interest in the NFL Network and this, that, and the other thing. Here's the deal. When you're in the club, you are in it. But the minute they decide they're kicking you out of the club, it doesn't matter. They're kicking you out. None of us believe they're going to kick Stephen Ross out. We don't. Now, I will say this. Behind closed doors, which concern do you think they take more seriously? Snyder or Ross?
Ross. I don't think it's close.
And if you were
The coffers of money, sorry, David, but the coffers of money that exist down the road for the National Football League exist because of gambling.
I'm with you.
Follow the money. It's what we do on this show. Ross is costing them more money than even Snyder is with his.
Well, he could cost them more money.
Potentially.
He could. And if I'm the NFL, all right, the one thing I have to make sure is that we play 272 regular season games every year, and the public needs to be sure that they're all on the up and up. Miller and Moulton, thanks for being with us, Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
No. You want to know why Stan Kroenke got the stadium rights in Los Angeles? Because of everything I just typed there. Kroenke agreed to pay for everything. I'll build the stadium. I'll pay the lawyers' fees. And if there's a settlement, I'll pay the settlement. And that's why Kroenke got the stadium in Los Angeles.
Oh, I think, Greg, behind the scenes, they are going to investigate this really hard. And like David said, the fact is that Flores is already lawyered up. This stuff will come out.
Greg, I don't think the question is, will they investigate it? I think the question is, will they do anything about it? Is that Orlando? No, fly panda fly. I actually think that Goodell and the NFL learned their lesson from that they're never going to investigate something that hard again. RCB, embarrassing. Are you serious? Do you see how much money they're making? No. I mean, I will say RCB, the Snyder thing, I think there's a point that we're all wondering, when do they just decide, we've stood by this guy for a long time. And A, he's an embarrassment, but B, he's kind of run the franchise into the ground, and it'd be nice if that franchise was pretty good again. And I will say, yesterday's little tap dance before Congress, that's kind of like, Ray Rice is accused of hitting his fiancée and then seeing Ray Rice hitting his fiancée. And Nick Flores won't get a book deal because he's going to divulge the contents of the book. So there's no reason to have a book, if you know what I mean. Nick, I think the only thing that's going to come out of this is that the owners are going to have to change their behavior just a little bit. They're going to have to open their eyes a little bit more.
55 seconds.
Now, with how shady and corrupt the NFL has been,
Shady and corrupt in what way?
Shady and corrupt how?
well, not shady. Let me.
Well, that's you. They're your words. This is,
By the
I
way,
would
these
say
are
this is-
lessons you should realize when you get your own show. You say a lot of shit and then go, oh, no, wait.
you can't do that.
You can get in trouble.
Controversial.
What's controversial?
I mean, they're going through quite the controversy right now.
Okay, they go through one every week.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. That's the point that I'm saying.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But nothing sticks.
It's still
They're
the biggest
Teflon.
league in the world.
My point is, do you think that, because I like the lottery idea, do you think that they would rig that?
They would what?
Rig it? No.
No.
I don't know.
No. Why would you do something that could bring your league down? No.
Patrick Ewing, frozen envelope.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes past the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, Florida Sports Network. Doug Peterson named Jaguars coach late last night. That means Houston, New Orleans, and Miami, the three NFL teams without a head coach. And I think we're all wondering, will the shoe drop in Tampa? And will Bruce Arians keep on keeping on without an elite quarterback?
What do you think, by the way?
Well, I think it depends on who they can get.
So you think he's waiting around right now to see who they can get? Like he's in with Jason Light going, all right, who are we going to get? And that determines whether or not I'm staying.
Yeah, I think he's saying, so what are you thinking here? And then I think he'll ponder whether or not he likes the best case scenario. And he goes, yeah, I could live with that. Or goes, might be time to turn it over to Todd or Byron.
I think it's going to be B.
I know they can get somebody like Garoppolo, somebody of that caliber. I have confidence of that. They got Mike Evans. That alone will end a good offensive line, a very good,
a really good offensive line.
Right. Quarterbacks on the open market, never mind the whole taxes thing and the weather and the whole deal. And a very winnable division. It's a very desirable gig if you're a free agent quarterback. If I'm Trubisky's agent, I'm all over Tampa Bay. If I'm Mariota's agent, I am all over Tampa Bay. Damn right I want my client to go there.
The Mitchell Trubisky thing fascinates me to see if he can be resurrected as a quarterback. I always like to see this opportunity for guys.
Well, let's be brutally honest. Is Trubisky Tannehill? Because I have argued that the Dolphins were the far more messed up part of the Tannehill-Dolphins relationship, and I think I've been proven right, even though he had a bad playoff game.
He had a bad playoff game, but you've clearly been proven right because the Miami Dolphins are one of the 5 worst franchises in the league the way they run their organization right now.
And if you're sitting around, and once again, we don't know what people's draft grades were of Trubisky 4 years ago. Coming out, yeah, the Bears traded up and took him second and all that, or third, whatever it was. But other teams may have thought, I got to admit, I think this kid's a hell of a prospect. And do they then conclude, but the Bears just screwed him up? I mean, the Giants owners just come out and said, we're giving Daniel Jones at least one mulligan because we've totally screwed the kid up. And was at Trubisky. And now he goes to Buffalo, gets a year of coaching from their staff, understudy to Josh Allen and all that.
Which remember, Josh Allen after year 2 looked like he was a disaster. Not a disaster. Looked like he was going to be an average quarterback. He did not look. We had no idea we were going to get this guy after 2 years.
Right.
Completion percentage in the 50s.
Right. He was an average quarterback, still had amazing skill set and upside, but he was nothing more than average.
He was a lot of what we say about Lamar Jackson. He could run really well, but he couldn't complete passes. What can he do downfield? And he changed his mechanics, and he went over one offseason and transformed himself into a guy that's completing 70% of his passes.
And what did they do? Continued to upgrade his offensive line. Oh yeah, got him a number 1 wide receiver. And so is there a team out there that looks at Trubisky and goes, okay, can we look at this a little more objectively? His line was never better than average. Most of
like the Miami Dolphins.
Most of the time it was below average. He never had a featured running back worth a damn.
Huh.
All right. And for the first part of his tenure there, they didn't have a featured wide receiver for him either.
It does sound a lot like the Miami Dolphins.
So and by the way, he never had a losing season in Chicago. He apparently was toe jam, and the worst season he had was 8-8.
Are you talking about Trubisky or Tua? Because boy, these sound eerily familiar, don't they, David?
And he did help take them to the playoffs 2 of his 3 years there.
So of all the guys out there, I'm really interested to see where he ends up.
And this will be his 5th year in the league, so he's about 26, maybe 27 years old. And I can get him for a proverbial song, especially for what it costs to get a starting quarterback.
So
but is that enough for you to keep coaching?
No, Arians, but right. I'm fascinated sitting in this chair about that one.
Like Greg here in the Twitch chat room goes, if you're the Steelers, I mean, is that an interesting prospect for you? It's, to me, a lot more interesting than the 2 quarterbacks they have on their roster to replace Ben. I'll tell you that. But I want to get back to the tanking thing and Stephen Ross. And if you change the draft to the top of the draft being more of an NBA draft lottery, would it, in fact, either do away with tanking or give the perception of doing away with tanking, right? Can I play devil's advocate for a second?
Always.
Right now, how do you get the first overall pick of the draft?
Have the worst record.
And usually there's no more than 3 teams that are lousy enough midway or 2/3 of the way through a season to go, well, it's either going to be this team, or this team that's on the clock. Like this year, between Jacksonville, Detroit, and Houston, we're like, well, you got 3 teams that could be on the clock here. I mean, the thought always was the Giants and the Jets would always just win 1 or 2 more games to be in the number 1 overall pick discussion. But, between the Jags won 2 and the Lions and Texans each won 3, or the Texans also win 4? I think the Texans won 4. So, but this year, before the season started, it was 2, no more than 3 teams. If you think about it this way, if you can get in the lottery for the first overall pick and be the 4th or 5th worst team, could you actually make the case, not before the season, but during the season, there will be a couple of teams that just go, well, you know what? Trade away some of our best players, get picks, and you know what? Let's try to get in this lottery.
Not with where the current trade deadline is, but if they start moving to Moultonville, where the trade deadline becomes week 9, 10, 11 that you've proposed forever, because Trader Dave over here likes to make a move come.
You do have to acknowledge that the NFL, while moving very slowly, is moving in the direction of Moultonville, though.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I only go Trader Dave because Trader David doesn't have
I'm
anything
with you.
to
Yeah,
it.
and that's why I let you have it.
I didn't.
Right.
I didn't do it despite.
I
just
know that.
trying to work because I like Moultonville.
I do too. I just, I could see a little commercial and a bunch of, chubby people kind of waddling around like Fred Flintstone, starting our cars with their feet.
All with notebooks, stamps.
Totally. I was just writing in a notebook this
Two
morning.
banks.
Bought a book of stamps this week. Went to the bank twice yesterday.
But yes, it is moving closer to your world. But with the current trade deadline, David, I don't think it would be as doable as you say, because the trade deadline's so early to say, hey, we're going to try to guarantee we're one of the 5 teams. Now, you start moving it anywhere past 5, it gets really interesting. The hard part of this, if you're just going 5, now this year it works. The Jets, Giants, and Houston, all 4-13. Carolina, 5-12.
Which is perfect for me. I'd hate for a 5-win team to actually be in the lottery.
But what happens when teams 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 all have the same record?
Well,
we doing the strength of schedule?
Yeah,
we flipping a coin?
We're coming up with a tiebreaker, just like we do for the draft,
right?
The winning percentage of your opponents and all that. Yeah,
which is why I think the more we've kind of gone through this, your number of 5 might work the best. No guarantees. If you're one of the 5 worst teams, you're going to pick no worse than 5th.
And
period.
You're the worst team in the league and you're picking 5th. I don't know what to tell you. Bad break.
But how much difference is there between Jacksonville, Detroit, Houston, the Jets, and the Giants this year? Really? Really?
Yeah. I mean, and if Jacksonville ended up picking 4th instead of 1st, look right at them and go, hey, them's the breaks, man. You suck that badly. You know what? Maybe you get some bad luck to go with it. Try not sucking. Okay? Try not sucking. I do think, though, because, let's be honest, there's hope in August. There's hope in September. By Halloween, you pretty much know whether or not hope is lost.
Agreed.
And I could see 1 or 2 teams deciding, well, you know what? We're probably in line for a top 10 draft pick. Why don't we try harder for top 5 and see if we take our chances? Who knows? We might end up with the first overall
Maybe we
pick.
can pay our coach some money to lose games.
Well, we don't have to. We'll just unload so many good players on the roster that he's going to have to put out a bunch of truck drivers.
And again, this is why the trade deadline to me would stay the same if you're going to do something. I've got to avoid that as best I can. I like the idea of the lotto. In fact, it's going to be our poll question. With the taking allegations against the Miami Dolphins, should the NFL consider a draft lottery? Yes, worst 5 teams. No, keep it the same. Those are your choices.
Miller and Moulton. Thanks for being with us, Florida Sports Network.
Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I think, by the way, if you wanted to, you could listen, and I hate the Pro Bowl. I'm not going to watch. I have no interest. Put the NFL draft lottery at halftime of the Pro Bowl.
That That's a long.
Long what?
Or you're saying because it would just be the top 5 teams?
Yeah. How long you need?
Yeah, that wouldn't take long.
10, 12, 15 minutes? I mean, you take the fill out of the NBA draft lottery. And remember, they've got 14 teams that are in the lottery. We got 5. I mean, how long can you draw the sucker out?
Okay, so let's say the 1, 2, 3 teams have 1-16, 2-15 records, but then the 4, 5, 6, 7 all
Doesn't
have
matter.
the same record.
It's luck of the draw, man.
No, but if the 4, 5, 6, 7 teams
They do it by
all
strength,
have the same
they
record.
do it by strength of schedule.
That's how they do it.
That's what they do now.
They
Like
break
it was really cool. If you go to Tankathon, which is one of my favorite sites, it's actually got all the leagues. But if you go in, it has the draft order, and then it has record, winning percentage, games behind, and then it has strength of schedule. So you know exactly why teams are ahead of others in the draft.
Yeah, luck of the draw.
Like right now, the Giants had an easier schedule. This doesn't make sense. So strength of schedule, I guess it goes backwards. So the Jets had a tougher schedule, I guess, but it doesn't show that. That's what's weird.
No, the reason the Jets are ahead
the Jets had an easier schedule.
Right. So therefore they suck more.
Yeah.
Right.
Houston's strength of schedule is the worst of the 3, 4, and 13 teams.
And that's why they're picking third. And
because
Jets
Jackson,
fourth, and the Giants
quite frankly, it's because Jacksonville's on their side.
Right.
So the Jets, for example, because despite the fact that they had an easier schedule, yet they still lost
the same amount of games.
That shows that they actually suck more.
So they would get punished by not having a chance at the top 5.
Well, yeah, they're in the top 5 this year.
Or they would be this year. But I'm saying in a situation.
Actually, it's the other way. Okay. Yeah. Imagine the 3 of us. We all have the same record. You played the easiest schedule. I played the second easiest. Mark played the hardest. You would draft first. I would draft second. Mark would draft third. The conclusion being, wow, you really suck. We gave you the easiest schedule, and you still could only muster 4 wins. So that's how it's done.
Look, I like the idea. Honestly,
We'll see what Pat says today. Let's see if it has any weight.
Yeah.
I think they should. I like your idea. I don't like the idea of halftime of the Pro Bowl, David, because then it would make me watch halftime of the Pro Bowl.
Right.
But
kind of the idea.
But if it was its own standalone thing, I'd watch.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. But the one thing I believe it would have to be before the new NFL season is underway. And that's mid-March. Teams would need to know where they're drafting.
Yep.
And for potential trades. I mean, we've had a lot of draft picks that have been traded here recently.
The NHL has a lottery, right? How do they do it?
It's weighted. It was
basically set up to ruin the Red Wings the last couple of years because they sucked and got screwed like just 2 years in a row.
And that is the danger of it. I mean, the Wings were legitimately the worst team in the league one of these last 2 years. They did not end up with the first pick that year.
And while there wasn't a Connor McDavid, there was some guys pretty close that they didn't get.
And, and unfortunately you go, hey, I don't know what to tell you. We've had too many teams tanking for too many elite players.
I will say
it all started with Lemieux.
By the way, is there a more worthless franchise in sports than the Ottawa Senators?
I think it's the Phoenix Coyotes. I really would nominate. I will go Phoenix in the NHL.
I think Phoenix is worth more than Ottawa.
Okay, that's not what you asked me, though. You said more worthless.
You're probably right on Phoenix, but I mean, I don't even know if they care about Ottawa outside of Ottawa.
Well, but I think if you took the Senators out of Ottawa, people would lose their mind. I think the Coyotes could go away yesterday, and Phoenix would yawn and
the
go.
The Panthers have the best record in the East. They could go away tomorrow, and no one would really care all that much.
Well, up until 3 years ago, the Panthers might have been it.
I'm telling you, Panthers fans, they're being born.
No, they're not. They're winning, so they're coming out of the woodwork. You have the front runner town of all front runner towns. You only care about teams if they're good. If they were bad, no one would care.
Right.
It's the biggest.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
20 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. What did we settle on for a poll question?
Your lotto. your draft lotto.
Or lottery here.
Yeah.
And that is this may be where the NFL needs to go in light of Flores accusing Stephen Ross of not just wanting to tank, but wanting to financially incentivize tanking.
So with the tanking allegations against the Miami Dolphins, should the NFL consider a draft lottery? And we just put yes, the worst 5 teams, no, keep it the same. And right now, early voting, 2/3 of you like our lottery system.
Can I ask a really hard-line question?
Sure.
Do you think the NFL fan cares? If there's blatant tanking going on, do you think the NFL fan is going to go, this is ridiculous. We got 2 teams every year that are trying, because we've got it going on in baseball right now. And the players are bent out of shape about it. The owners don't care at all in baseball.
Right.
And I know nobody cares about baseball, so just change MLB to NFL for the sake of this discussion. You got 4 or 5 teams now for about 4 or 5 years who are blatantly tanking.
Right. The Astros started this. It has worked. It's copycat. Right. Teams are going wide, even try.
Yes.
I'm going to bring up prospects. I'm going to play these young guys. We're going to lose 100 games, and I'm going to get more draft picks, and I'm going to get better.
And it's not even 100 games. I mean, we got teams now that are losing 115 games. That's really hard to do in baseball.
Right.
And they're doing it for multiple years in a row. And you're right. Houston started it about a decade ago. And look what it led to. It's led to the best 6-7 year period of time in their franchise's history.
Right. We always talk about the process, and everybody thinks about the Philadelphia 76ers. While it hasn't worked there, the process with the Houston Astros has worked. I mean, if Philly had if the Sixers had half of the success with their process that the Astros did, everybody in the NBA would be tanking. That wasn't an elite team.
Now, I will say there are 3 or 4 fan bases in Major League Baseball that are bent out of shape about it. And the players are really bent out of shape. And they are trying in these negotiations. It's actually probably one of their 3 biggest issues is competitive balance and financial incentives to not tank and all that. So, but now let's go to the NFL fan. See, to me, I don't think the NFL fan cares about this. I really don't, because what do we talk about, Mark? Winning or hope? If I'm not winning, I want to suck. I mean, Jets fans were furious with the team for winning games late in the season.
David, you're right. The NFL fans, I think it's the smartest fan base of any sport right now. They get it. It's easier to get than the others. And I don't care if they care or not about the tanking.
Why not?
Because I'm doing this going forward. I'm not looking behind. I'm when you mentioned the lottery, I saw an hour TV show where I could make money. I saw another opportunity to take oxygen out of the other sports while continuing to make my sport more dominant. It's all I saw. So I don't really give. David, you and I sat here and thought the Thursday night draft was the dumbest idea that ever happened.
Ridiculous. Stupid. What are they doing?
We bashed it for an entire show. We could not have been more wrong. So do you think I care if the fan base is, if I see profitability and betterment of my league, I don't care if it matters.
All right. The reason why I think you need to care a little bit is you can't have the fans think that your league's not on the up and up, if you know what I mean. That's the only reason to care is that, okay, we're the 32 owners. We're in the room and I'm Goodell and I go, listen, we don't care. We don't care if each other's tanking. All right. But do we think the fans care at all? Like, is this a risk for us? If we just keep on keeping on, and we know there's a couple of teams every year, you're doing all you can to lose games and reduce payroll and create cap room for the future. Do we think that we're going to start to go a little bit down the baseball and, quite frankly, NBA road? Because there are 5-16 now, maybe not this year, actually. The NBA has now finally got themselves in a spot where there's very few teams that are intentionally tanking this year.
Detroit and Orlando are just really, really bad.
Correct. They're not trying to tank. They just suck.
They're actually trying to get their young players to play hard and improve, but there's not much talent there.
Now, in the NHL, it's got 2 or 3 teams that are once again tanking. Okay. Pretty soon, they're going to have to just go from tanking to sucking so that their fan base isn't completely turned off. And in one of the markets, we think it is. And that's the only thing. If I'm Goodell, I'm like, okay, guys, do you get the sense at all that your fan base, and there's no more national fan base than the NFL because of gambling and fantasy and all that. Do we get the sense at all that the fan is being turned off because a couple of you guys every year are going out of your way to lose?
I don't think so.
And if that's the case, then you don't have to care. You go right back to what you were thinking. This is great. Another marketing thing, more money.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to honk the fan off one way or another. I really don't. But David, I've had something that's been on my chest here since the beginning of the show, and I've not had the opportunity to get it off my chest. So I'd like you to grant me a little bit of time.
Okay. The only thing I would say before I grant you the time is it is our poll question. All right, about the NFL draft lottery proposal that we've bantied about here for the last hour or so. All right, thumbs up or thumbs down. Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, and vote.
And it will be on our webpage starting Monday. There's a couple of adjustments that have to happen.
What?
Yeah, Florida Sports Network is temporary. It's up, it's running, but it's not completely.
We're going to have a website?
We have a website.
What?
I mean, I'm looking at it right now.
Wow.
But there are a couple adjustments, and one of them is it's supposed to take the Twitter question and put it on the front page. And unfortunately, the way a couple of the things are working, that's not happening at this moment. So we'll get there. We will get there. In fact, if Felipe can get on his computer, he may be doing it in a moment.
Wait, affiliates and a website?
Right.
Holy mackerel. All right, what do you got?
David, I don't know if you're aware, but in the last couple of days, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has announced its list of nominees.
Uh-oh. Oh, boy. It's the only Hall of Fame you care about.
It's the only one that I care about.
All right.
There are some first-time nominees, and then there are a list of ones that are nominated again. These are the ones that are nominated again that didn't get in last time. Pat Benatar, Kate Bush, Devo.
Just all right. Let it sink in here.
The Eurythmics, Judas Priest, this is just a joke. They're not
A complete and utter joke.
This fella Cootie, it's an international thing. Everybody says that.
Is Judas Priest Bonds, Clemens, or Schilling?
Schilling.
I'm with you.
There's been no tampering. There's been nothing that they've done.
How can you cheat in rock and roll?
Right. MC5, New York Dolls, who it's shocking that they're not in. Rage Against the Machine, another one that should walk in.
That's unreal.
And Diana Warwick. They were all, I don't know how
Dionne Warwick,
rather. I don't know how she's even on this list because it's a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Come on. We've talked about this. There is no other place for like R&B or pop to go. So
I know it drives me nuts.
It should just say the Music Hall of Fame.
These are first-time nominees. Tell me if you think yay or nay right off the get. Beck.
Well, gut feeling, I gotta deliberate a little bit.
I would go no. Duran.
No.
I would say no, but they're really close because musically they're terrific.
Yes.
And musically, they were the teeny bopper type music, but musically they were really, really, really good.
I don't disagree. I think they're the athlete that walks right up to the door, but you don't open it.
Eminem, going to walk in first ballot.
Yes. Should.
Dolly Parton.
Absolutely.
I was stunned that she's on this list for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Stunned.
Well, yeah, because they don't do country.
Right. There's a country Hall of Fame. Dolly Parton should not be on the Rock Hall of Fame list. I love Dolly Parton.
Okay.
Helped cure COVID, for crying out loud. I mean,
right. And by the way,
and Jolene is a great song. And wrote the big Whitney Houston hit she's responsible for writing.
Some Kenny Rogers hits. Right. Now, quick sidebar. And I know she doesn't want it. All right. And because of it, a couple of presidents who have wanted to give it to her have not given it to her. Tough. Give it to her. She should get the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
I agree. Lionel Richie's the first time. I don't think he should get it.
Are you serious? Come on.
Oh, what a feeling. Dancing on the ceiling.
There's
Boy,
no other place for him to go.
He can go in with the Commodores. He can go in with the Commodores. That's rock and R&B. Lionel Richie is a solo artist. It's not rock and roll.
Well, don't you count the Commodores?
No, they're separate. No. Paul McCartney's in as a Beatle and he's in as Paul McCartney. No. Neil Young's in as Neil Young. He's in as Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. No. Separate.
Can you listen to his music at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Just kidding. It was a joke. Come on.
Carly Simon's on the list. That one I'm kind of surprised she's not already in.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And A Tribe Called Quest, which Before I left my wallet, El Segundo should get in right away, right, David?
All right, so we disagree on Lionel Richie.
Heavily.
Apparently, we're coming to blows over.
Well,
Lionel
I don't know
Richie.
if it's that far, but
Otherwise, our ballots are pretty similar, though. We're kind of on the same page. This is your thing. This is my baseball Hall of Fame, right?
yeah, I
here.
geek out on this. I can't stand the fact that they put all these pop artists in the Rock and Roll Hall
They
of Fame.
don't have.
They've
any-
watered it. They've watered down the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's completely watered down. It's a sham. Jan Werner, the Rock and Roll
It
Hall of
is.
Fame guy, is a clown.
more political than the Baseball Hall of Fame. In fact, that'd be a great poll question. Which Hall of Fame is more political, rock and roll or baseball? And I think it's rock and roll by a good, healthy margin.
Because one person controls all the politics.
Right.
All right. I had to get that out. I feel better. Thank you, David. Now we can get back to lotteries and
I think your
drafts and all that stuff.
early gut feeling in the Twitch chat room, you're winning on Lionel Richie. Remember, there is no place for a pop/R&B artist to go from a Hall of Fame standpoint. This is really misnamed. It's not the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's the music that is not country Hall of Fame. I mean, that's really, if you want to put, that's what it is.
There's a hip hop Hall of Fame. So there's a hip hop Hall of Fame. There's a country Hall of Fame.
Okay.
And then everything else not named hip hop or country Hall of Fame. And we do put some of you in anyhow.
I was going to say that because there are hip hop artists in the Rock and Roll Hall of
Absolutely.
Fame. Right. So it's music that is not country Hall of Fame. That's really what it should be called.
Didn't one of you just say Eminem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eminem's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
He's nominated.
He's nominated.
He will get in.
Although I'm telling you, the fact that Judas Priest is not in, it does cause you to pause.
Well, it's because he hates heavy metal, the guy who runs this thing. I don't know what to tell you. Rage Against the Machine's not in there either.
I know. Come on.
That's a first ballot Hall of Famer right there.
Definitely should be.
Should have been.
Right. I think, by the way, Judas Priest is Bonds. All right. And I think Rage Against the Machine is Schilling.
I don't know. Pat Benatar might be one of them, too, because Pat Benatar's not in and Whitney Houston is. Explain that to me, Moulton.
Well, and we disagree on this, but of course, Whitney Houston. If it's a music Hall of Fame that is not country, Whitney Houston should be in it. All right. But Pat Benatar should be in.
Grandmaster Flash is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
This is
rightly so.
That's awesome.
We're going to lose him for the rest of the show now, don't you? He's going to look up
He's
all
not
of
looking
the
at
artists.
Yeah, because he had no clue what. I don't know. Did you have a clue there was a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame
Of
before this
course.
segment?
It's in Cleveland. Come on.
Here's the deal. All right. If we by chance we're doing a show from Cleveland and Felipe's with us, we go to visit the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He would be so mesmerized by all the acts. All right. That he'd get locked in the place. It'd be a movie. They would have closed it. Felipe would have been on like the floor that nobody goes on, walking around going, wow.
That's kind of my dream.
Would have been like
To be there for a week and be there after hours. I want night at the museum, but I want to be at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Well, the one floor is like all merchandise. All right. So you would probably avoid that. That would bother you. The commercialization of it.
That's all museums. I mean, they've got a
Right.
whole thing at the Dolly Museum full of things you can buy. I would expect it at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, it is a genre that lived on a black T-shirt for most of its life.
Right.
Have either of you been?
Yeah.
David has. I've not.
Is it cool?
Yeah. It's not as cool as I thought it would be. All right. But it's cool.
I feel the same way about the NBA Hall of
Should
Fame.
be more interactive.
Have you been in Canton?
Yes. Not in a long time, though.
And I haven't been since I was a boy.
And when I went, they've changed it a lot. They've made it more interactive. I do want to go. Should have gone this year when we did the Hall of Fame game, because I don't know if we'll ever do it again. And when I say we, I mean Fox, not Miller and Moulton.
We've never done a Hall of Fame
No.
game.
But,
I never plan on doing one.
Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. We're listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
All right, any NBA fans here? All-star snubs. You know, it's crazy because the talent pool in the NBA, since, I mean, obviously it's the best it's ever been right now. It's so large and so wide and so vast that every year there are like at least 10 legitimate snubs. But my top picks from the West, obviously, it's probably got to be DeJounte Murray. And then Clay was a little warm last night. Yeah, he looked good. East snub, I'd say Jaylen Brown. I think he's the type of dude that we shouldn't even be hesitating him making the All-Star game. He's like a young T-Mac, bro. He's unbelievable. And oh my God. You see that? Look at that.
Oh, my God.
Holy. Scoreboard.
I come back in and they're talking Star Wars. Okay.
No, they started it, not me. They started it, all right?
All right. If you're in here, hit that. If you haven't hit that follow button yet, let's hit that follow button, folks. Let's go. Follow it up.
Nah, dead streak. He's got to choose one. He's got to choose one. He can't do both. And if you're a true Star Wars fan, you know why he can't do both. Oh, Jared Allen, yes. That's another snub. Evan Mobley, no, he did not make the All-Star team. But he's a rookie. Not saying rookies can't make the All-Star team, but got to be a special kind of rookie. Luke didn't really do both. Are you referring to being a pilot?
Yeah, here we go. God, he threw it so late.
By the way, they catch that interception. The Niners are going to the Super Bowl.
I think they are. Even though they were.
Oh, that's not a very good play.
That sucks.
Oh!
Yeah. And then the goalie.
And then
the
Right.
goalie just shoots it
Oh.
right. All you got to do is dump that in the corner, dude.
Yep.
come on, St. Louis.
Dump's never a bad play.
And they're one of the best teams in the league.
Their jerseys remind me of the Chargers a little bit. Blues.
I love the Blues jerseys.
Yeah, they got really nice
Yes.
jerseys. St. Louis Blues.
And when they eventually outlaw the Blackhawks jersey, that'll become the best jersey in the league.
Because the Blackhawks have a really nice jersey.
Oh, the Blackhawks jerseys.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're pretty awesome. I've never been to St. Louis. I bet it's nice.
I don't know about that.
Uh,
I don't know about that.
I've only been once. I
Not-
can't really say.
Not easy to get in and out of.
Really?
Not a lot of direct flights.
15 seconds. Dead Streak says Red Wings got the
Yeah,
best jersey.
no, I will say the original 6 jerseys are
All
all
of them.
terrific.
Every one of them.
They
Coming back.
really are.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Minute and a half past the hour. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton on what is still kind of sort of Football Friday.
Football Friday.
Art not really in it here on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Pat Kirwan to join us live from Mobile, Alabama in a little more than 30 minutes time. Kicking around on this day, the Jags hired a coach late last night, in case you missed it, Doug Peterson. I don't know how you can argue with that. I mean, he took a team to the playoffs 3 of his 5 years there, went 2 and won a Super Bowl. You're looking for a coach. Can you really do better than that on the open market?
He had Carson Wentz ready to win an MVP. You've got yourself a Trevor Lawrence. You need him to start playing.
Now, I will say, and this is going to be one of the things that people are going to go, yeah, Doug did a good job and all, but he had a really nice staff there. Frank Reich was the one that was working with Wentz, and also Mike Kafka, who's now going to be the Giants offensive coordinator, was part of that staff. And so there are going to be some of those who were with Peterson in Philadelphia, and it's kind of like, I don't know if he can put that good a staff together again. That is the danger when you're this late in the game, Mark.
Well, it's fantastic you brought that up because at least Jacksonville has a head coach. Miami seems to be waiting and waiting and waiting.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The Niners were eliminated from the playoffs, right?
Yes.
The Cowboys were eliminated from the playoffs a long time ago, right?
Right.
It's down to the guy from the Niners and the guy from the Cowboys. What's the holdup?
I don't know. And here, let me ask you this, just in terms of whoever Miami hires versus Peterson. And your point is incredibly valid on the fact that the coaches that Peterson worked with are in other places. He's not going to get all of them. Does Doug Peterson have a better opportunity to put together a staff than either guy who's going to accept a head coaching job for the first time? Don't you think Doug Peterson's in a better position to put together a better staff and know what it takes to put together a staff than either coach Miami hires?
Yes. Yes.
And it's not close.
I thought it was one of the most appealing things about Dan Quinn. The word was that Dan Quinn had a great staff lined up. Great. That's another one. I have no idea that all these openings, and Dan Quinn was a finalist for like 5 of them, but wasn't the final guy for all of them. It's kind of hard to believe. I mean, he did coach a team to the Super Bowl. I mean, you're looking for a coach. You must not have done that well here recently. I mean, we talk about it. It's just, hey, and it's like the Jim Harbaugh thing. Here's how the next 5 years are going to go. And it's going to end badly. Or it's going to end with, listen, you need to leave before we kill each other. All right, okay. But in between the honeymoon and one of us needs to get away from the other, or else a lot of good things are going to happen. But then again, you and I are willing to not have harmony at work.
We've been good at it for so long, David.
And most people nowadays, Mark, apparently want a kumbaya.
Well, and David, who knows? Maybe it is part of, we're old. We've joked we're middle-aged, you know what.
Right, because I'm not living to $112.
Right.
And
I don't see 104 in my future.
I don't. I'm sorry.
Maybe
to
a
break it.
temperature one day, but I don't see it as an age.
Well played.
So maybe, David, the two old guys in the room, you and I,
Right.
have missed out on this because maybe these coaches who are our age and have been head coaches can work in a more hostile environment, and that these teams are looking for more of a kumbaya with a younger athlete that doesn't like to get yelled at as much as previous athletes. I don't know.
Could very well be. Could very well be. Our poll question with Stephen Ross and some of the allegations against him by Brian Flores, as in he wanted to tank so badly he was willing to pay me $100,000 per loss. I will say, if you're the league, if you come to the conclusion that that's true, I mean, first off, the thoughts that they're going to take this, honestly, I'd empty my bank account that they're not going to take this franchise away from Stephen Ross. Now, that may not be very impressive to most of you, but I would be willing to empty my bank account. I do think it's possible that they go, yeah, wow, he was really serious about tanking, and they take away a first-round pick or something like that. But the franchise?
God, I wish I had a list of all the things you were going to empty your bank account for.
No. I have not lost when. I mean, that's the ultimate back up the truck.
It's not just a bet. Sometimes you'd empty your bank account to put a Miller and Moulton logo on a NASCAR vehicle.
That would have been so great. And it's still possible. Okay. And in fact, the great debate would be, do we put the Miller and Moulton logo or the Florida Sports Network? No offense, Marty. We're putting the Miller and Moulton logo.
I like ours just a little bit better. I like the microphone in ours. That's, it's
and also it's our money.
Right.
We're putting our logo.
And
imagine both.
Would you rather have, I mean, look, we can't get the 500, but if I could get you our logo in this,
the
Clash of the Champions, would
tomorrow?
You do it? Yeah.
I'm all in. Totally.
I just felt like I was into the Clash more than you and not the band.
That's Sunday, though, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, it's not tomorrow. It's Sunday. Also, isn't it like 6 o'clock?
I don't know. I want to watch it just because some of the drone shots look incredibly cool.
I know. I'm fascinated by the look. Also, I don't know how many of you have been to the LA Coliseum at any point in time, and the fact that they've now turned it into somewhere where they're going to race. It's wow. I want to see it. It's big. It bowls out. There really is a lot of room.
Wait, what do you mean by like?
They're going to race.
They call it the Clash of the Champions or whatever. They're having basically like an all-star race.
The Clash at the Coliseum.
Or the Clash of the Coliseum. Yeah, I'm sorry.
They're calling it Sunday.
Is it around the Coliseum?
No, it's
inside the Coliseum.
What?
Yeah.
You missed all those ads the last few weeks during football.
How could you have missed that? I mean,
you watch the games?
Fox did.
I check my phone during the ads. I don't watch commercials anymore.
Oh, you're not alone.
Wow.
Not alone.
But promos, it's not even a commercial. It's a promo. It's like right before the game comes back on.
Well, right. Joe Buck. I mean, he's
during the game.
Yeah. I mean, once again, it shows people don't listen to the announcers either.
I'm watching the game with a group of friends, like if I'm by myself,
I'll tell you what. Did you also, I mean, we all know how good you are on the basketball court. You must have been a hell of a defensive back too. Because I've never met anybody that backpedals quite like you, Felipe.
Wow. Look at you on the attack. Man.
First, I don't watch the commercials, and then I watch with a group of friends. This is
right.
You can tell David,
I'm not watching the commercials.
David, you're a grandfather now.
Oh, look. Wow. He is just
first
on
time
the
he pulled
attack.
that card. First time he pulled that card.
You haven't had to parent in a while. I still have a 7-year-old that I have to, when they give you those answers, I have to disprove those answers, which is what I just did there. That's all. Now all you have to do is spoil. You are at the perfect spot.
I'm broke.
Doesn't matter. Ice cream doesn't cost that much.
Well, it's going to be a while till the kid eats
I know,
ice cream.
but you can go have one.
All right. For Felipe and our audience, it's the Clash at the Coliseum. It's Sunday, 6 o'clock on Fox. It's a 150-lap exhibition, which is, 38 miles, basically. It's a quarter-mile short track. It's inside the Coliseum.
They're racing on a track. And by a track, I mean a high school track.
They started constructing the track in late December. It's asphalt. It's obviously specifically for this. I will say it looks great. I have no idea how it's going to race. Normally, I don't like tracks that are that short.
Well, because Bristol's a half mile, right?
Right.
That's the shortest track they run on.
I mean, a quarter-mile track.
It's a track. It's a high school track, David.
Right,
That's what it is.
I know. I'm aware. They had the Olympics
I know.
in there, Mark. I mean, so here's how you know it's a quarter mile. See, inside the Coliseum, they had 2 Summer Olympics. And what did they use the Coliseum for, besides opening and closing ceremonies? Track and field. Hence, the track was a quarter mile. Hey, you went grandfather.
Are they
what you get?
Are they removing seats to make the area?
Apparently
bigger?
not. Not
No.
if they're just that's
No.
the. I guess that was kind of the point I was making, is that they're not doing. They're simply using the inside of the Coliseum. There's nothing that it's been extended. They're not going up through the stands and out the, like, because they've had X Games and different things. They've had some motocross and they've done some crazy things in the Coliseum because it's a monster building.
It is.
Yeah, it's big.
And very historic,
Yes.
obviously, for this country. And it's not the first official race of the season. There's no points.
Right.
This is an exhibition. This is just to promote the sport. Now, normally they have a clash. It's at Daytona. It does determine things. And there are points to be acquired, etc. That is not the case here. This is just to promote the sport. This is a one-off, and we're going to see how it goes. I think it's a great idea because that's a sport that should be trying things.
Right. This is the match. I mean, this
Right.
is just doing something completely out of the box.
This is
to
Field
try
of
to put
Dreams.
new eyeballs on you.
This is Field of Dreams for baseball, specially made exhibition and all that. Okay, great, cool. Maybe you just get a few people to tune in who would not normally tune in, and they go, wow, that's cool. That's neat.
I will say, I know this is easier said than done, but when I first envisioned F1 at Hard Rock Stadium, I was hoping that there could be a section in the race where they'd go through the stadium. That would have been cool.
It would be. Unfortunately,
It's
the
easier
opening at the 2 ends is not very wide.
Exactly. Easier
Tough
said
to
than
have
done.
side-by-side racing.
Right.
Interesting.
And I will say, they go 100 to 150 yards very quickly. I mean, you're sitting there and all of a sudden it's like, zoom! Wait, what?
I mean, you're going 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds.
Right. So, but yes, that is one of the events. We were going to have a poll question, and we were going to ask you, what is it that you are going to watch this weekend? And originally, we didn't even think of the Clash, which would have been a major omission on our part.
Right, because it would be the Clash, the Olympics,
You got
the
golf,
AT&T.
and you've got technically the NBA, and it's NHL All-Star Weekend.
Right.
So,
And we bring up the golf because we're in big golf markets. St. Pete's and Fort Myers, St. Pete's, Tampa, Fort Myers, Naples are 2 of the top 3 golf markets
right.
in the country. And I don't even know if they're going to watch the AT&T this week.
I mean,
At Pebble Beach?
There's nobody there.
yeah,
It's one of the worst fields that I've ever seen for a
it's the worst.
full-on tournament in the history of the tour.
It's the worst Pebble Beach field of all time.
Oh.
It's
Oh.
unbelievable.
Because there's the tournament over in
right.
Dubai or Saudi Arabia or wherever they're at this week.
Right.
That's part of the Asian tour, and it's got all of the big players. They're all there for a cash grab. Phil Mickelson said some damning things about the PGA Tour yesterday. He went on a full frontal attack.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. More on that later in the show. Aaron Wilson covers the NFL for Pro Football Network. He'll join us next. Pat Kirwan in 20 minutes' time. Tom Luginbill in our bonus hour here on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
At Senior Bowl on there, thought maybe we'd get a retweet today.
Well, it's still early.
Yeah.
7:15 there.
Who the hell is Lindsey Grahamnesty? Who the hell is that? Klecko, I need answers, man. Maybe I'm too young. That's an excuse I throw around.
He's talking to the
Yeah, it was
Right,
10 minutes
no,
ago, but I didn't
I'm
want to bring it
trying
up.
to figure out what's he talking about.
Oh my God. I tell you, Walton, it is so good.
See, I love him. Love him. See, to me, this is kind of like the people who have a problem with Vital. Because this was Dickie V only 40 years ago, where he would do his own thing and go off on tangents. Okay, and then he'd come back to the game when the game was worth coming back to.
Yep. The difference to me between the two is that I've watched Dickie V's whole career. Dickie V became a caricature of himself.
Are you
You don't
serious?
think Walton's one?
I think Walton's just off the one. I think this has always been Bill.
Are you
I think this has
serious?
always been. The difference is I think Bill's always been this eccentric, and they've always tried to reel him in, and now they're just like, go. I was laughing, like I was, because I really, if we can go to an LA Super, I was just thinking when we were doing that segment. I've been to LA once. I was young. We didn't really do anything. I've not seen that city. Like if we did a show out there, I would have to be figuring out how every day how do I get to the whiskey? How do I get to, so I can see as much of LA as possible in the week that I'm there. Can I get a Bill Walton tour? Just Bill, do you do tours? I just want you to take me around campus for a day. Someone was saying, I thought it was pretty funny that New Orleans might hire Flores just because Bountygate and they wouldn't mind sticking it to the NFL. I thought that was a hysterical take.
See, I don't think they'd stick it to the NFL. I think they'd save the NFL.
Also, he'd be a great coach.
We'll see.
He's a good coach.
He is, but he blew through 3 offensive coordinators in 3 years. That concerns me.
Now, do you think that Stephen Ross purposely hired offensive coordinators?
No, he hires the offensive
hired
coordinators.
his staff.
You hire your own staff.
Jan Gailey quit on him. Jan Gailey said, "You're such an asshole. I'm going to go back and retire."
Damn.
Did Graham leave? I thought Graham was asked to leave. He fired his first offensive line coach. He had the job 2 months. He fired him after like their second workout.
One more time, what's the name of that LA Coliseum race?
Well, first off, make sure you call our guest here, but it's the Clash at the Coliseum.
Got it. I'm gonna call Aaron.
P65. Pro Football Network is where it goes to, but that what is it? What do I have it? PFN365.com also works.
For
their website. It just forwards you there.
Oh, so
ProFootballNetwork.com is
so-
also PFN365.com.
gotcha.
That's just what I've got on the screen. So when you see it, don't freak out. That's all I'm really telling you.
Got it.
Paul, I need a case of Kogels next time you come down. Are you here or are you in Detroit? I need.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Pat Kirwan to join us coming up in roughly 15 minutes time. Live from Mobile, site of the Senior Bowl. They're basically done working out. Today, kind of, walk through plays, that sort of deal, so they can play a game. So the workouts are basically over. We'll talk to Pat about who has impressed and who hasn't. Aaron Wilson, kind enough to join us. He works for Pro Football Network, PFN365.com or ProFootballNetwork.com. You can follow Aaron on Twitter at @AaronWilson_NFL. Aaron, it's David and Mark. Thanks for your time this morning. How are you?
Great. Good morning, guys.
You're Peterson in Jacksonville. Do you know, did Leftwich flat turn the job down because of Bulky, or did negotiations break down because of it and they turned to Peterson?
Right. More of the latter. What happened is he interviewed for the job. He had a second interview. He had this long meeting. It was going well. They started discussing everything about what it would take for him to, feel comfortable about it. Then it was going very well. And then the following morning, when negotiations continued, that's when the Leftwich camp had a lot of asks in terms of, wanting a different general manager, and that threw Shad Khan and the Jaguars off. And that's when, basically it ended. And so it's been over for a while. It wasn't really rekindled. It was off-putting to the Jaguars. And I don't think anyone did anything wrong. It's just, if you don't feel like a place is a fit for you and you're not comfortable, then don't take the job. I mean, I think we've all done that, right? We've interviewed for a job and maybe we don't think it's quite the right fit, or maybe they would have liked you, but there's something about you that they don't want. I think it's nothing that controversial other than the fact that it's Byron Leftwich, and obviously he's a popular former player and he comes from the Buccaneers, and he just coached Tom Brady, and he's done a good job with alignment. That's very important. And Trent Baalke still works there, and that's controversial to not just Byron Leftwich but many coaching candidates. And there's guys I know that didn't want to interview with the Jaguars because of that. So they talked, and both sides moved on. As far as withdrawing from consideration, I mean, that's kind of, I would say, like, when you're not passionate about pursuing the job anymore, and they've already moved on. So this has been over for a while. When things hit that kind of snag right away and you don't even get in the building to get the offer, no. I mean, what happened is they talked, they tried, and it didn't work out. And
all right,
we'll see if that's the end of the, if that's, a big deal. We'll see how Doug Peterson does, but they definitely, they gave it an honest shot, both sides.
All right, Aaron, with Peterson, do Baalke is the general manager for now, but Spielman was brought in for an interview. Is there going to be a third party that you think is going to assist on the personnel side, or is this going to be Peterson and Baalke working together?
I think initially it would be Peterson and Baalke. Baalke is still operating everything. He's still involved. He's still talking to candidates for, staff positions. So Baalke's not done by any stretch. Whether Rick Spielman gets hired, that's what I would watch for. Because if Rick gets the job, then Rick is an accomplished general manager in his own right. And then, they're either working together or they're moving on from Trent. But I just don't see Trent making it. The longest I could see Trent staying will be for one more year. But wouldn't surprise me if Trent's out before or after the draft. It's just going to be a matter of, yes, he has some loyalty with the family. They like him, but, they've heard a lot during this process, and he has affected their process. He's one of the reasons the process took as long as it did, and it's an issue.
He's Aaron Wilson, ProFootballNetwork.com. Follow him on Twitter, Aaron Wilson _NFL. All right, the Houston situation. 3 finalists. Flores is one of them. Where do you think he is on the pecking order with Josh McCown and Jonathan Gannon?
In terms of rankings, I mean, it's hard, very, very hard practically to hire him because of you're going to be in constant. He's not only is he not going to have time to be all in with coaching because of the litigation, is the constant barrage of headlines. So all the teams there are issuing statements, detailed, especially the Giants, and they are denying the accusations he's made. He's on a media tour to say and to think that he's going to be able to focus solely on assembling a staff, building relationships in the building, doing everything it would take to hit the ground running. He's a very good football coach, but he's involved in something different right now. And, legally, yes, he can be hired. He's not in litigation with the Texans. I mean, Nico Ryans had a lawsuit with the Texans for the surface at NRG Stadium for a devastating injury he suffered when he was playing for them. Practically, do I think he could have been a candidate? No. And I know many people are like, oh, they should hire Nico Ryans. I mean, when you sue someone, it's considered a pretty hostile action. So, no, it's not going to work. I think he would be discouraged strongly in New York, and I also don't feel I've had people ask me this. Would he drop his litigation just to be a head coach? No. I mean, how weak would that be? It doesn't make sense. But yes, he has good relationships. He actually has no problem with the Texans. I'm told that he's been very thankful and grateful toward the Texans for making him a serious candidate. And so his relationships in the building, including Nick Caserio, the general manager, are very strong. Just, the timing and everything might not be right. I would say it's going to be either Josh McCown or Jonathan Gannon. So there won't be any mystery candidate out of left field. And, whether it happens today or tomorrow or next week, I would say that they've got finalists and they've got a good group there. Jonathan Gannon's made a really strong impression. So is Josh McCown. And I would anticipate it being one of those two guys.
Aaron, with the Dolphins, with everything that's going on, how much harder is it going to make it to get a coach? Or does the litigation and all the accusations of Stephen Ross, is that just one thing and hiring the coach is completely separate?
The guys they're looking at that are, I would say, the finalists, Kellen Moore, Mike McDaniel, they would be first-time head coaches. It's the Miami Dolphins. You would still take the offer. I don't see it being anything that's a deal breaker for either of those guys, and they're there in the next few days. Mike McDaniel today, and then Kellen Moore is on schedule for tomorrow. Be one of those guys. They'll make a hire. And McDaniel's the one that I think has got the most momentum and probably really on that short list for Stephen Ross. So we'll see. I think these next 2 interviews obviously are very important, the in-persons, and McDaniel's up to plate. So this is a big day for the Dolphins coaching search.
Aaron Wilson. He covers the NFL for ProFootballNetwork.com. Also, PFN365.com. You can follow Aaron on Twitter at Aaron Wilson _NFL, and you can follow Pro Football Network on Twitter at PFN365. Aaron, we know you're busy. We appreciate you making time for us. Hopefully we can do this again.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Aaron Wilson, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. Quick update as to the coaching carousel. Looks as if by Monday, I think we'll have resolution in Houston and Miami. That would leave just the Saints. The Saints interviewing Bieniemy tomorrow.
And they've interviewed, the Lions D coordinator and then the interim coach.
Yeah, Aaron Glenn and Dennis Allen. Right, 2 defensive coordinators. Miller and Moulton. Pat Kirwan live from Mobile, Alabama, in the Senior Bowl next here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
The Flyers uniforms too. Also, can we talk about the fact that Chinese New Year, it's the year of the dragon?
No, it's
I
the
mean,
year of the
tiger. I said dragon. Tiger. Come on. It's destiny.
I know Matt Stafford's going to win.
That's a lion.
He's a lion.
No, tiger's a lion.
There's no year of the lion in the Chinese. It's all cats, baby. Not a year of the lion. You got the cock, you got the monkey, you got the tiger, the snake. Go look him up.
But why are you saying Stafford? That's a lion. A lion and a tiger.
He's a cat.
No, it's the tiger.
He's the cat.
We're talking about the Bengal tigers. It's destiny. It's the year of the liger.
Once again, Matt Stafford. David, thousands of flights have been canceled as winter storm tears across the U.S.
I don't have to worry about that, Mark.
I know. How happy are you right now?
I'm not even paying attention. I had no idea that was happening.
David's in the off season, ladies and gentlemen.
I know.
When that plane landed Monday in Southwest Florida, it was like, oh, thank God. Been on like 120 flights in the last 5 months.
You beat.
I could stay away from an airport for a while.
Have you been to every NFL stadium? Does anyone else feel the suspense?
Pittsburgh.
That's the only one you've never been to Heinz Field?
Never been to Heinz Field.
What?
You didn't do a Thursday in Pittsburgh?
Nope. We did the Steelers in Minnesota this year.
Oh, that's a
I thought
stadium.
you went 2 years ago.
No.
Oh, that's right. You went for the U.S. Opens when you were in Pittsburgh.
Right. I was in Pittsburgh for golf.
Damn.
Nope. Haven't been to Heinz Field.
Been to where the Texans play.
Oh,
Yeah.
This year, week 3, they played Carolina.
Oh yeah, I remember that game.
Yeah. Panthers were 3-0, won 2 games the rest of the
The
year.
Panthers looked good.
That was Davis Mills' first start. No, that's what Thursday Night Football was great for. And you saw the whole league.
Pat has an easy number to dial.
That's right, Hops. I'm glad to not be going to the airport, and TSA is glad. Although I've really behaved.
Thank goodness.
Ever since the last 2 years with COVID, their job's been a lot harder. We're all going through a lot more. You got to be a lot mellower.
Pat's on hold.
I snapped one time this year. They threw out my can of shaving cream.
Oh, I remember that. Yep.
Total BS.
All right, we're coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
24 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Pat Kirwan, kind enough to join us once again. You know the drill by now. Moving the chains weekday afternoons, NFL radio. He's part of CBS's NFL Today show. You can follow, Pat on Twitter. He's brought to us courtesy of Pinchers, yada, yada, yada. Pat's in Mobile, Alabama, the Senior Bowl. How's your week gone?
It's going really well. And we got in all the practices with some shaky weather, but the facilities here, now that they moved to the University of South Alabama, are terrific. So I just said to Jim Miller this morning, I said, I feel like I got a better look at players this year than ever with the way it's set up. So, it's nothing. It was terrible when we used to come here and it'd rain and they'd have to go into the convention center and walk around. So we're getting everything going. Yesterday was very intense practices, so I was very happy to be here.
All right. I'll just go by position group. Is there a position group that's standing out as we start getting prepared for the draft? I know that's why you're there, Pat. Are there position groups that stand out over others so far this week?
Well, as always, the offensive line here is really where I think the best players come in for a lot of reasons. Number one, a lot of offensive linemen stay in school 4 years, and consequently, they're eligible for the Senior Bowl. And I think the history of offensive linemen getting drafted higher by coming here is pretty lengthy, and I think the Senior Bowl guys can sell that to them. So I liked a bunch of these offensive linemen, and that kid, Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa yesterday, was as close to Taylor Lewan as I've seen come through here. So, yeah, and the tackles are gigantic. There's about 6 of them that are in the 6'7" range, 6'6.5", 6'7", 330 pounds, athletic, moving around. So that group, everyone wants to hear about the quarterbacks. I think this is not going to be, I don't think this is breaking news either. The quarterback class is not going to be worthy of the top half of the first round, I would think. But someone might take them anyway because they're desperate. But the quarterbacks have not distinguished themselves to the point where if I needed one, I'd be going, there's my guy. So that's as close to the reality of the quarterback class. I will say that Ritter from Cincinnati yesterday had a good day. And this is the point I'll make. They have a good day. They have a mediocre day. You never fall in love with any of the quarterbacks during the week.
All right. What about Malik Willis from Liberty? He's the one that I think people are going to have very wide differences of opinion. I find it fascinating, those that have been at the Senior Bowl who have been rating the quarterbacks, how different their opinions are of Malik Willis. Your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I like him. There's things I do like about him. I think he throws effortlessly. I watched him throw a 50-yard post route without moving his feet or even transferring his weight, just inflict it with his wrist. And it was on time and in front of the receiver. It was impressive. He's certainly athletic enough to move around and run around. At times, he reminds me of Russell Wilson. His delivery is not as high as Russell's, but he's got a smoothness to him that I think anyone who's – now, when I hear Mike Tomlin say things like, I'm intrigued by athletic quarterbacks and they need one, I don't. The trick is where do you take them? But I do think that people that want to go down that path of getting a guy with escape skills, and it's interesting to me that it's so often the defensive-minded head coaches, John Harbaugh, Pete Carroll, those guys, they understand the problems those quarterbacks cause, and I think you see Mike Tomlin probably liking Willis more than some of the teams that want somebody to stand in the pocket.
The kid from Pittsburgh, Pickett, I just laughed when I saw he wouldn't measure his hands because of the double-jointed thumb. But, this, you talked about linemen, but, there's 3 quarterbacks here that are all first-round picks, right, Pat?
I think they'll go in the first round. I've been here for the Christian Ponder dress. They have a nice week. People need a quarterback. Minnesota takes Ponder. He never delivers for them. I think there's some skepticism about this group. You don't see... look, Josh Allen was here with Baker Mayfield. I think we all saw first-round picks. When you look at this group, and I'll stop and talk about Pickett, he's a nice player. He looks like a good, solid guy, but I don't know that he's got the dynamics. Yesterday was red zone. So in red zone, what you want is 1, 2, 3, throw the ball, right? Get the ball out of your hand because it feels short. And I thought he was waiting on things, and I look and go, that guy, those will not be completions in pro football. The hand thing, I could care less. Mahomes has a small hand. Joe Burrow has a small hand. So that whole thing about his hands, Phil Simms says they measure the hand wrong anyway. So, he always says the hand should be measured on a quarterback from down at the bottom of the wrist all the way to the top of the middle finger. He goes, that's how you should measure a quarterback's hand, and they don't do it that way. So he wore gloves. This is funny. He wears 2 gloves when he's playing. And then yesterday, or the day before, in the rain, which was great to get a practice in the rain, he takes the glove off his non-throwing hand. I don't know what that was all about. Yesterday, we were somewhat indoors in a semi-indoor facility. He had 2 gloves back on. So I like him. But here's where I see his issue is going to be a problem. If the Pittsburgh Steelers, who live in the same building as them, if they pass on that guy and nobody knows him as well as Pittsburgh, then what's it say about the kid? So I think he's fighting for credibility here, and he might get it. He's got some excellent game tapes. I talked to his college head coach yesterday just about what he was like to coach, and the coach was not on the air with me. He said a lot of good things about him as a practice guy, preparation guy. And we'll see how far he goes, but I think, Mark, his name is being thrown around because people that need quarterbacks have to like one of these guys.
Pat, if it comes down to like the game tape you're impressed with, and then the 4 days in Mobile, you go, I don't know. At the end of the day, what would you go with? The 4 days in Mobile or the tape?
Well, the tape usually wins because this is also a place where you should shine because it's vanilla coverages, no blitzing. And you would think, okay, I don't spend a lot of time, as an example, David, watching 7-on-7. I'll watch it to watch football, but I would not grade a guy off 7-on-7. Rick Neuheis, when I stood there yesterday watching 7-on-7, I said to Rick, unless a guy completes 95% of his passes in 7-on-7, he's not doing very well. There's really no reason not to complete every pass. And so you see guys they're not doing that. They're 75%, but that's not good enough. In the NFL, 7-on-7 is a tune-up for the offense.
Pat, I know one of the things you love about the Senior Bowl is that they always do a great job of finding whether it's a D3 guy or an NIA guy. Who are a couple of have you found your hidden gems yet? Guys that are going to be second day or third day draft picks that you think can stick to a team that are making a case for it this week?
Yeah, I love that question because it is the fun thing that comes out of this. There's a couple of defensive backs, and this is an area where this happens quite a bit over the years. So that kid Joshua Williams from Fayetteville State, cornerback. This is a guy that's run 10-6 in 100 meters. He's 6 foot. His real size is 6'2.5", almost 6'3", 193 pounds. My note yesterday was 1 year of development and you'll have a star in your hands. So he's got the quickness, agility, balance, and speed to mirror receivers. The Pete Carrolls of the world and Danny Quinn, the guys that are built around those tall, lean corners will love the kid from Fayetteville State. For sure, he's one of them. The cornerback from Texas San Antonio. This is another big kid. They bring him in here because they're big, unusual size. A lot of clubs requested as many tall corners as you could find. And that kid from San Antonio is another one. Check this out. The guy is legit fast, like world-class speed fast. We raved this fall, the three of us, when we saw there were guys like Derrick Henry that were clocked at 21 miles an hour while running in a game. Well, this guy's been clocked at 23 miles an hour in football equipment. So there's two small colleges, and I wouldn't say San Antonio is a small college, but those two corners, and I think this game is notorious for bringing in small college cornerbacks that land up playing pretty well in the NFL.
Talking with Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chains weekday afternoons. Jim Miller is his co-host. They're live in Mobile again today. Pat's also part of CBS's NFL Today show, and he joins us courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and many points in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Your thoughts on Doug Peterson agreeing to become the Jags' next head coach last night?
Happy for Doug, and I'm happy for Jacksonville that they got a true veteran head coach. We've talked about this 1,000 times. There's no window here of honeymoon and opportunity and development. You got to come in and start winning games. And they made a mistake. They hired a college guy who wasn't ready for the job, and we all know what happened to him. But a lot of these hirings are guys that are not experienced. Hackett, Dable, Eberflus, probably Kevin O'Connell. But, I think I talked to Josh McDaniels. I heard in his voice a guy that's been there. I heard a guy that knew what his mistakes were. I think I heard a guy that was ready to be different. And I think that Peterson will do fine. He's a former quarterback. He'll be really good for Trevor Lawrence. It's not that his career is on the line here, but you'd like to see a significant jump this year. And I'm glad they hired a guy that knows how to do that.
Pat, since we talked last, all of the Brian Flores lawsuit, the allegations of tanking have come out. Just, I guess, how critical are these allegations? How serious is the league going to take it? We all know that there's been tanking of some way, shape, and form going on for a while, but paying for tanking is a whole nother story, Pat.
Yeah, I think that Brian better be really careful, and he better be able to prove the things he says. I think this will go, and this is right to David, this will go past the NFL. This is going to get to Congress somehow if this stuff has to be proven. Someone's lying, right? I don't know which side's lying yet, but you're going to have to figure that out. Brian Flores, people were all shocked, me included, when he got fired. Because we kept looking at, he has a winning record, and all this other stuff. So maybe there was personality issues that caused the firing, and maybe he's, bitter about that. But if I'm the people that have been accused by Brian Flores, I'm getting ready for my counter lawsuit here. So we'll see where it goes. What is tanking? I can tell you the coaches I worked with, not one of them, and we had a 1-13 season, a 1-15 season with Kotite. They were playing as hard as hell the last game. They were embarrassed, and we knew we were going to end up getting a high pick, but it didn't matter. No one cared about it. Usually, I don't even know that's in the culture of an NFL coach and player. Veteran players, honestly, the last thing they want is for their team to be picking first in every round, because they know if that guy gets picked first in the first round, the second round, the third round, they're all starters. And if you happen to play the position they're drafted in, you're gone. So I don't know what do you do? So it's very disappointing that it's where it is. And I just think it's a bigger problem than just the NFL investigating.
Well, and we don't think it's coaches and players. We think that you tank as an organization. You just make sure that the roster is so bad that you can only do so much with it. Pat, we heard you talking on your show yesterday about the idea of, hey, to even eliminate the perception of tanking, do you do something with the top part of the first round? An NBA draft lottery idea. I don't know if it's you and Neuheisel who threw it out there and then you guys fancied it about. What would you think if the NFL decides, you know what, first 5 picks every year, we'll come up with how we're going to do it. And, however it falls, but nobody's guaranteed the first overall pick anymore. What would you think?
Well, what I said yesterday was the NFL is, as it relates to the draft, very traditional. They love their process. They've made it a gigantic moneymaker. Would I think a lottery would hurt that? No. Do I think if you go to a lottery now, is it an admission of guilt of something that happened? They might look at it that way. Do we really want to do that right now? What are we telling everybody? We went to it because we found out there was tanking going on. I'll see how far this goes. If they come to the conclusion, or if the Congress comes to the conclusion because of the gambling issues with football that it happened, then I think they will do it.
Do you like the idea of a lottery, though? I mean, Pat, I initially, because, this is a show that hated the idea of a Thursday night draft. That's worked out pretty well. To us, this is another nice little television show to make more money for a league that loves to seem to do that.
No, I don't really like it. I think when you're the worst team, you deserve the best pick. I've always felt that way. And now, did you pick the right guy? Well, that's another issue altogether. And the NFL is not known for copying what the NBA does. The NFL drives their own bus. And their egos might be too big to admit to something that the NBA does. And I say that a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but do you think they ever wake up and say, let's follow the NBA on this? I don't think they ever do that.
Pat, we got about 2 minutes left. So the tackles. I keep seeing mock drafts with 6, 7, 8 first-round offensive tackles. Is the class that good, or is this a bad draft class?
Tackles are safe picks. We've talked about that all spring, and we will do it again this year. I can take a rookie tackle, especially guys with traits, put them on the field, and protect them with slides and tight ends and fullbacks, and develop them while playing. So there's a long history of these tackles getting on the field pretty early. And a lot of teams need to protect these quarterbacks that are making $40 million a year. You wake up in the middle of the night every day thinking, how am I going to protect this guy? How do you think Cincinnati feels about putting Burrow on the field? 9 sacks 2 weeks ago. So I think teams like that are just going to take tackle after tackle until they get them. And they appear to be fairly good. And as I said, a lot of them are here. And not all of them are here, which is even more impressive, how many guys are out there. So, yes, I think we'll see about 5, just off the top of my head, 5 tackles go in the first round.
All right, 10 seconds, Pat. The 6'8", 380 kid from Texas, what round pick is he?
I asked this question to Paul Alexander the other day. Is he too big? Is he a guy that you just worry about being too big? They won't. The size meter is going to give him a high grade. He'll go in the first round.
He's Pat Kirwan. He's in Mobile, Alabama, the Senior Bowl, and he'll be doing another couple shows from there on NFL radio. Weekday afternoons from 3 to 7 with Jim Miller, and he joins us courtesy of Pinchers. From Tampa to Key West and all points in between, Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Pat, safe travels from Mobile. We'll talk soon.
Yep, I'll talk to you from L.A. next. See you guys.
And he'll enjoy Senior Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
More than Super Bowl.
There's no doubt.
Miller and Moulton. Tom Luginbill, college football, next.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
All right. My buddy Bob says, all you guys need is bumper stickers. By the way, the tanking poll is 50-50.
He spit at him twice, and he got arrested immediately. Happened at halftime and after the game?
Oh, I didn't hear about halftime. Something like that, Desvel. Yep, something like that. You want, how do you pronounce it? Is it Olave there? That's who you want at 13? I think Cleveland should go get Devontae. Tony, if I'm Cleveland, I'm trading Baker for Cousins.
You said trade Baker for Cousins?
Straight up.
Boy, oh boy. Cleveland's really mad that Tom Brady didn't mention him in the first They really got bothered by that.
Even though he put out a beautiful video yesterday or the day before, yesterday or Wednesday. Okay. He did, by the way, like send out when he left.
Yeah.
Okay. A fawning thing. Right.
Look, they're Bostonians. They're all whacked.
Tom Luginbill.
Yep.
Tom is on hold.
Great. That's awesome.
You got 10 seconds.
Miss Abraham's buddy.
Well, he's on his show, but he's a national ESPN.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. The Florida Sports Network, good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when, all coming up in about 35 minutes' time. He is a very busy man with ESPN. He does the whole recruiting scout game. He's a sideline analyst. He's a game analyst. He's Tom Luginbill, who you can follow on Twitter very easily at Tom Luginbill. Tom, it's David and Mark. Thanks for your time. How are you?
I am great, guys. Thanks for having me today.
Is it harder, the same, or easier to be a coach, to be a recruiting analyst nowadays than it was even just 5 years ago?
Oh, I think it's more difficult, particularly from the coaching side of things and what's asked of these guys and what they have to be responsible for and all of the different variables that are involved now that you didn't have to account for before. And I think that, everybody's, all up in arms about the transfer portal and there are problems with the transfer portal, no doubt. I do think there needs to be legislation. There needs to be, pockets throughout the calendar year where it's permissible to enter into the portal and other times where it's not. I don't think it can just be a swinging door 24/7. But really the issue that's creating more problems than anything else is because of the pandemic, guys. When they decided to give everybody an extra year of eligibility, that threw everybody's scholarships and all of their numbers completely out of whack. Now, it would have been one thing had they just given the player that was in their last year of eligibility an extra year, but they didn't do that. They did it with 5 classes. So now you're dealing with the transfer portal players going in and out. You've got an extra year of eligibility for everybody on your roster. The NCAA is telling you have to get back down to 85 scholarships or below, and somebody's going to lose. There's a trickle-down effect in all of this. Well, who loses? The high school player loses because now there's not as many scholarships available as there once was. So it's a mathematical nightmare right now that we're dealing with. If we're covering this, if you're in it, if you're at a program, you have to deal with all of these numbers and you don't have your hard cap number that you're accustomed to having, saying, okay, we know this many is going out the door. We can bring this many in. Now there's a bunch of other variables involved that make that far more difficult.
And we've heard that from high school coaches. It's getting tougher and tougher. Those 2 and 3 stars are slipping through the cracks through all this. But Tom, you mentioned early on about the transfer portal. You just kind of said in a sentence, unless there's some legislation that changes this. Tom, and first off, I'm in 100% agreement with you, but legislation from whom? I mean, that's I love the idea, but where's the legislation going to come from?
That's a great question because that's the problem in all of this, whether it's the transfer portal, whether it's the extra year of eligibility, whether it's NIL, it's the wild, wild west out there. They dumped this on the laps of every program in America and said, you guys figure it out. They didn't give them any blueprint, no rules, no guidelines. And guys, we know if you follow the sport, coaches love to live in the gray area, right? Well, that's all this is. There's no yes or no. There's no can't do this, can't do that. I mean, somebody show me a rule. Like, actually show me a hard rule that can't be interpreted in 20 different ways as it relates to all of this stuff. So I personally, I think the American Football Coaches Association, I think that athletic directors and their coaches need to somehow band together and can create some type of leadership council, something that you can put forth, whether you're going to use the NCAA. I know they've become unbelievably antiquated. They've removed themselves from the equation. And, it's probably not going to be much leadership from that angle going forward. But I'll tell you what I would do, though, is I would change the recruiting calendar where I would make 3 windows throughout the year, 3 2-week windows. At the conclusion of the championship weekend, I would make that a 2-week open transfer portal window where you say, okay, you know where you stand coming off of this season. Maybe you don't want to be there. You're going to transfer. You're going to leave. That's your window. If you don't enter then you're going to be involved in the spring semester. You're going to be in the winter conditioning program. You're going to go through spring football. And now after that, we're going to have another 2-week window. If you're not happy, okay, that's the opportunity to move in there. And then maybe we do one more small window in July before teams enter into training camp. And then once you enter into training camp, you're playing football with your football team. You're committed. We can't just have this revolving door because it's unsustainable. And, I think what we've also done, guys, is we've created this path of ease. We're teaching young people not to have to deal with adversity, that if it doesn't go your way, that's okay. Just go somewhere else. That's not what any of this was intended to be. And I feel sometimes that when you don't deal with hard times and you haven't had to and you don't know how to because we as adults are making it so easy on you, then who's benefiting in all of this? And I just think there's got to be some rules in place. We're a country of laws, right? Well, if you don't have laws, you have chaos and anarchy. So let's get some laws applied to this.
All right. Let's just spitball here. How about everybody gets a mulligan? Everybody can make a mistake. We all make them in life. So
Sure.
At the very first time, kids can transfer, no questions asked, no penalty, the whole deal. You try to do it again, we're going to have to do something with you. Would that be enough for you?
Well, that's already in place unless
Right.
the person has earned their degree, because now they have the free graduate transfer rule too. So, here's where I get concerned. And I mentioned these young kids, and they're coming out of high school and they're high profile, right? And everybody's patting on the back and telling them how good they are. And that it's going to be, you're going to go straight to the NFL and all this stuff. And guess what happened? Within 1 year of arriving on campus, they're not playing, they're homesick, whatever it might be, okay? Now all of a sudden they want to take their ball and go home. And they haven't even really competed. They haven't battled. My biggest thing that I would do is I'd say, okay, you get your one-time transfer rule, but not until after you've at least completed 1 calendar year on campus, or maybe 2, where you say, all right, you've battled, you fought, you can transfer, but you're going to sit out. But after you get through first 2 calendar years, then you trigger the one-time transfer rule free of penalty. Or, and I like Dabo Sweeney's idea in all of this, is you tie this thing to education, you tie it to getting your degree. If you work through and you get your degree, all right, now we give you an extra year of eligibility back. Tie it to something. So I think that's possibly something that could be looked at.
And Tom, I think that's a really good idea, but I do find it interesting that we all sit here and want to legislate kids and tell them what to do. It's the coaches who are telling these kids that they're going to start and go to the NFL. It's the coaches that are leaving when they get a better offer somewhere else. So I don't know how we can legislate the kids until we start legislating the coaches. I mean, this is the way you're talking, Tom, is a little unfair to the.
I have a hard time with it because I see both sides, but I think there's a part of me that feels like, why would we be comparing an 18 and 19-year-old and trying to say that they are the same thing as a working professional that's earned a degree, possibly a postgraduate degree, that's worked, that's earned a living, that's put food on the table for their family? I mean, would we say that an intern should be treated the same way as a CEO of a company? I don't know if you are in the profession, everybody's in a profession to try and grow and climb and go up the ladder, earn more money, whatever it may be, and grow professionally. I just think sometimes it's a little bit dangerous to say, okay, well, we should treat this sophomore the same way we treat the 47-year-old husband and father of 3 that's earning a living and putting food on the table. I go back and forth on it. But I'm not the get off my lawn guy. I know it sounds like that a little bit. I just feel like it can't just be a free for all, guys. There still has to be some type of rule in place, because what we've created is we're creating, to some degree, non-competitors. I mean, let's call it what it is. When a guy is in the transfer portal, why is he in there? Because he's not playing, and we've done nothing to try and coach or try and bring him around and lead him and get him going down the right path and competing and battling. And you know what? If you get to a certain point and you're in the second year, third year, you've been through 2 or 3 battles and you're not playing and your clock's running out, I get it, man. Go where you can be happy and try to play. But understand this. Nobody's going to hand you anything if you go somewhere else. You're still going to have to earn it there, too.
Tom Luginbill, ESPN. Follow him on Twitter at Tom Luginbill. All right, back to the who could possibly do this. We all know we've got 10 conferences and Jack Swarbrick at Notre Dame who essentially run college football. The NCAA is not involved.
Right.
Do we let each conference come up with their own thing, or do you think it's possible, and these guys can't even agree on a playoff right now, do you think it's possible to get those 11 people in a room and say, okay, we got to tighten this up. Let's come up with something, because they can do their own thing. The same rules can't apply for basketball and the other 24 sports, but they could create the rules for football.
There's no question. And yes, I think it's possible. And I actually think it's going to happen at some point. And it's going to start with NIL before it hits the transfer portal or anything else, because that's one of the biggest problems right now is you literally dumped the biggest legislative change in the history of college athletics on the laps of these programs, regardless of the sport, right? With zero guidelines, zero direction, no blueprint on how to execute it. You're technically not supposed to be able to use it in recruiting. That's a bunch of crap. We all know it's being used in recruiting. And the problem in all of this is not all programs are created equal. So an Alabama is going to have resources in name, image, and likeness that a Mississippi State's not going to have. All right, a Clemson is going to have resources in name, image, and likeness that NC State is not going to have. So if you have more resources than everybody, as it relates to NIL, you're going to be able to track the best players because you have more opportunities. And all that does is widen the gap between the haves and have-nots. And so I think what we've got to do is, and the problem is, and it goes back to something you said, David, is, okay, well, if we come up with something, how do you police it? I mean, the NCAA has never done a very good job of policing things. So who would, if we had all of this in place, who's going to police it? And can you police it? How would you control it? And so do I know the answers to all those things? No. I know this. We put the cart before the horse, and we released all of this stuff without thinking through the details, and the devil's always in the details, right? So that, to me, is disconcerting, because I think we went ahead and we did this, and we didn't think any of it through.
There's no doubt there. And, Tom, I'm of the opinion that this NIL thing is going to be much bigger than college sports taking it on. I think the whole 501(c) is a sham. You know, we've talked about this in the bowls and how bowl CEOs can make upwards of damn near $1 million to wear a jacket and do nothing. I think the legislation is going to come from higher above down the road. In fact, I don't think college is going to have to worry about it nearly as much as others do, because I think they've opened up a can of worms that now it's going to have to be legislated by Congress, because you're right. The Wild Wild West is there. In the meantime, there's a couple of schools that seem to have a clear, like you said, mentioned the Alabamas, but it certainly seems like Kentucky, Texas, Florida, the schools that have put NIL established practices in, whether it's via the school or via their alumni, are going to have a good head start against the rest of the schools.
There's no question. And, you know, Alabama did that. If you got ahead of it when you knew it was coming, if you got ahead of it and you established an in-house NIL portion of your administration or your program, no different than the SID department, no different than athletic training, you just now have an NIL part of it, where, because that's another thing that concerns me a little bit, guys, is we're sitting here talking about name, image, and likeness, and all of this money being thrown around or talked about. But has anybody actually been able to educate these kids on contract language, morality clauses, hiring a representative, I mean, all of these different things. We're not preparing these kids to handle any of this. How about something like investments, what to do with it, how do you maintain it, how you go forward? Not forcing anybody to do anything, but providing the resources so that kids can make good decisions. Because here's what's going to happen, and it's going to happen soon, and it's going to happen to somebody. Somebody's going to be a really, really good college football player. They're going to sign some NIL deals, and they're going to get a bunch of money. Then what's going to happen is they're going to blow it all. Then they're going to leave early to go into the NFL draft. They'll have made a mistake. They won't get drafted. And now we're going to have a student athlete with no degree and no money. That's not what this was intended for, And so you're right. I think for those that really invested in what this was going to be, know it's here to stay, you got to be prepared to deal with it, not only in recruiting, but when those kids get on campus. And here's another one for you. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, and I recently learned this. Because my biggest issue with all of this is NIL is based on production. Your value is based on whether or not you produce, right? So if you produce, you have value. Did you know that unless you turn these guys into employees, you can't put production clauses in the contracts? So essentially, if you sign or endorse somebody in NIL, all right, whether they produce or not, they're getting whatever it is you're saying you're going to pay them.
Yep.
That's insanity. I mean, you got to be kidding me.
Well, but Tom, we went through this, the Northwestern quarterback who, a few years ago wanted to say, hey, we're employees. And right now the courts are saying, no, you're not. So they can't be considered employees. And that brings about a whole other thing. If the day ever comes that they are employees, well, now it's a whole other set of rules, as us employers and employees know. Tom, we could talk for a long time, but we took up a lot of your time. Hopefully we can do this again.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me this morning. Have a great weekend.
Tom Luginbill of ESPN. Recruiting, scouting, sidelines, booth, busy guy. Follow him on Twitter, Tom Luginbill. Miller and Moulton. Listen, college football, I think, in and of itself, Mark, elicits these type of responses. But we have gotten, and I don't know what you're seeing in, our text line, but in our Twitch chat room and individual texts that I received during that interview, strong opinions from people on both sides.
Absolutely.
But every opinion strong. No one's soft. They either think Tom Luginbill is talking the talk and walking the walk, and I'm all for you. Or they're like, are you crazy? No. And once again, you're siding with the adults as opposed to the kids. It's one or the other. He threw a lot of stuff out there, stuff to chew on, maybe on the other side. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. It's all coming up. Bonus hour, Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Because Pat doesn't say really, Pat's a football guy. He doesn't want to say anything controversial for the most part.
What's interesting is that he did the whole lottery thing on his show yesterday, and he was much more for it than he slept on it. He talked it through, and he went back to being against it. Because when Neuheisel was presenting it, all right, and they kicked it around, in fact, at one point, he said they did 2 segments on it. And at the end of the second segment, he looked at Neuheisel and he said, listen, I'm a lot more for this than I think you think by my answers. Okay. So I found that interesting. He slept on it and decided no.
I don't mind the 2 week of what Tom said. If you did a 2 week window,
3 times a year, I'm
December,
totally for it.
sometime January, February after the national title game.
Well, and that's not his window, but go ahead.
And then after spring ball.
And his is mid-December, after spring ball, right before
training camp.
So you're like, you know what? Nope.
But I think the 2 weeks before December is not enough time.
Not before in mid-December, like right after
But I got you. But see, semesters don't start until, like Jake didn't start until like the second week of January. Not everybody starts school January 4th, if you know what I mean. People think in terms of high school too often. Colleges don't always start.
No. Right.
So
he's basically saying once your season is done,
then I would make it 4 weeks and take the week of Christmas as a black week, if you know what I mean. What the hell? Ever seen this one? Got to answer this, don't we? Hello? Yeah, I'm going to review it online because I'm a little pissed off about the bill, if you want to know the truth. You described it as an outpatient visit when it was a scheduled visit, and you charged me $200 on my thing. So we're going to have a little chat about that because you're going to have to refile that.
Yeah.
You cock.
And another thing, it's all right there. Jeff Gordon. I haven't heard from him in a little while, by the way.
Ooh.
Jay Bird.
Do you hear from him occasionally? I haven't heard.
All during the college season, I do. He texts me more about Saturdays than Sundays.
I haven't heard from him forever.
He texts during the game. I always love that. And at some point I go, you do know I'm working, right? All right. He's like, yeah, it's how I know I could get you.
The one thing he did say, and we'll talk about this, when he starts comparing the 18-year-old to the 40-year-old, I hate that.
Okay.
I hate.
All right. Save it. Channel it. Fossey. Yeah, but see, Adam, here's the thing. I don't think you can legislate against bad decisions. People screw up, that's on them. I did like his point about, it's kind of like what it is that we teach.
I don't mind the 2 years in school thing, for the record. Of all the things he said, I don't have a problem with not transferring until after your second full year in college.
I would have to make an exception for it unless your coach leaves. Otherwise, I'd go with it. I'm fine with it. All right. But if the guy who recruited you and
left,
don't give me the position coach, but you're there in your freshman year, and at the end of your freshman year, your head coach took another job. Oh, yeah, you can leave.
And we've always felt that way.
Always.
Before there was ever a transfer portal.
30.
You know, it's amazing how many layups in college basketball are missed.
Well, there's more defense. So
there's not more defense. There's more pushing, holding, grabbing.
Right. Physicality. Tougher layups.
I'm also talking about layups. I'm talking about I've watched more college basketball.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
24 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. The Florida Sports Network. Good, bad, and ugly. Today was the day when. All that sort of good stuff coming up in about 15 minutes' time. You just missed, if you're joining us now, Tom Luginbill of ESPN and he's all over on field, off the field college football. That's his life. That's his career. And so we were kicking around the sport at large and getting into recruiting and transferring and NIL and all that sort of thing. He threw a lot out there, Mark. Give me the good and the bad of what it is he threw out there. One of each.
The good, I could actually go for the stay in school for a couple of years. That you can't transfer after your freshman year. That you've got to be at that school for 2 years before you transfer. You'd still give 3 years eligibility if you're redshirted, realistically.
Now, you know the qualifier we would attach to that, though.
Yep.
We've always believed if your head coach leaves, you can leave.
Then everybody can leave. But I with that caveat, I don't think that's the worst idea.
No.
I actually am all for that.
I don't either.
Now, the one thing that he did talk about, though, is, basically kids can up and leave. Now, I'm only going to go about the program I follow the closest because I'm a fan. When Mel Tucker came into Michigan State, everybody raves about all the players he brought in from the transfer portal in order to have the terrific year that they just had a year ago. He told a bunch of other kids to pound sand.
No doubt about it. Gray shirting, baby.
He said, you're done.
Yep.
His starting quarterback from the year before, get out. I don't want you anymore. Now, that quarterback went to Northern Illinois, I believe, and won a MAC title. So you got to slow down with the kids leaving because coaches are throwing kids out, and that has to be talked about.
Well, I mean, I'm not a big fan of that. My feeling is, hey, you offered them a scholarship. It should be a 4-year thing or at least a 2-year thing. That's another thing as opposed to a year-to-year thing.
Right. So that was that. But the biggest issue that I had with what Tom said, and, I like Tom. He's very good at what he does. And if he were sitting right here, I'd have no problem saying this if he was in the room, not in this part of the interview. He did sound like get off my lawn guy because we do live in a country that requires you to make as much money as possible based on your talent. So I don't give a damn if you're 18, 19, 20, or 47. Don't tell me that a coach has earned more money just because he's done a job than a player. The coaches have all made their money on the backs of these players.
Well, that's the
model.
Well, and there's no other model that can be had.
No, I got you. But when I said the coach can leave, and he just poo-pooed that and thought that was the dumbest thing he ever heard because they've earned their stripes. The other kids have earned their stripes. They've been busting their ass since they were 10 years old.
Well, I mean, he just said matter-of-factly, you can't equate he said 47. You can't equate a 47-year-old father of 3 with a 19-year-old.
And in an NIL world, you actually can because the kid at 19 can support his family the same way the coach can now. That's all.
He believes that nothing is going to get done about recruiting before it gets done about NIL. That he thinks that there will come to, this is scarier for the schools than the recruiting. And that's why he thinks if they ever get together and they do anything, it will be about the money.
And it's, I've always been someone who thought that 501c3s were a sham. And I've thought this for most of my adult life. Once I figured out what they were and having worked in and around them, I would love to see something done about that. There's just so much wealth tied up in 501c3s that I don't ever see them changing any rules on that. I mean, it is where rich people hide their money.
Right.
And we tend to not go after rich people in this country. So I don't see them going after as much as I'd like them to go after the 501c3c concept. I don't realistically, I thought that when I asked the question in retrospect, it probably doesn't happen because it's a lot bigger money than college football.
He brought up that he thinks with the money that the schools need to essentially educate the kids better about a few things, how to find an agent, hire an agent, morals clauses of deals, and to me, it's kind of like, the teaching of life skills that he believes that, listen, whether it's an athletic department, whether it's the school as a whole, and we all know they're not into spending money when they don't have to, but you may have to take an extra step here and look out for the kids, because think about all of us. If we stumbled into what it is they could be stumbling into at 18, 19, 20 years of age, there's a good chance we'd screw it up. Now you could say, oh, you could turn to your parents and this, that, and the other thing. Al, did we always turn to our parents?
No. Hardly ever, actually.
You
Most
know?
of us.
So,
And I mean, no, not even kids, David. I think you can look at the stories of people that have won lotteries and, you know,
Sure.
won $1 million here and have gone through it. This is your point of stumbling into money at any age.
right,
At any age.
we mishandle it.
Right.
So I like that. I do. I mean, you don't have to take the advice, but I don't think it's the worst thing. I mean, I would equate it to, you know, having to sit through the 90-minute seminar before you get the free cruise. I mean, you're going to get the cruise. You don't have to listen. You just, at the end of the 90 minutes, you just say no.
I do think, though, as you mentioned, the university's not wanting to spend. I mean, this goes back to your Sam Bradford is owed the opportunity of his coach to not play him for a senior year. Now the schools owe it to make sure they get their kids financially ready for the future. We know how hard they work at these things.
Right. No, well,
it's just lip service.
It's all about the kids, Mark. It's all about the kids, and it always has. Just, did we get that 4-star? Yeah? Well, then I don't give a damn about Jeff here. Let him blow his NIL money.
Right. Then gray shirt the rest of them. We got to make room.
Let's see if he can get this kind of money in the MAC. I do think, though, in theory, just, you know, humor me 10 seconds. If these conferences can ever agree on a playoff structure, they could then say, well, now that we've got that settled and we're all in a good mood, what do you say we order out some more food and we just stay here? And now can we talk about an issue? Pick an issue, recruiting, NIL, whatever it is, because it's not like Indianapolis is going to give us any help. And do we really want to wait to see whether or not DC is going to step in? Never mind the fact, do we think anybody there knows what the hell they're talking about when it concerns college football? I mean, we know they don't know what they're talking about when it concerns all the other stuff. You really think they know the intricacies like we do? So why don't we come up with the legislation? I'll get some drinks. We'll order some food. What do you say?
David, we've said all along, it's their own rules. It's their own game, and they can do this. And you may be onto something because they are so scared of the transfer portal and NIL. If there was ever a reason to push them to legislation, there never really has been prior to this. And you've talked about it. Why would Sankey want to change anything when he's running the show the way it is now? But with NIL and with the transfer portal, coaches and ADs are in a position they've never been before. They actually may be able to sit down and do that. Where I would have given it a 4% chance 6 months ago, David, I might even double that. I might even give it an 8% chance now.
Do we think this is a compliment or one of the 5 worst insults I've ever received? Adam in our Twitch chat room said David sounded like a Paul Feinbaum caller just now.
It's one of the worst things that's ever been said to you.
Thanks, Adam. And here we are talking about the Jags because of you. And you hit me with that. Hope you enjoy your Doug Peterson, Adam. Miller and Moulton. Good, bad, and ugly. Today was the day when Feinbaum caller here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
No doubt in my mind, by the way, that if Aaron Rodgers went to the Titans, they'd go to the Super Bowl. No doubt in my mind.
Like next year or this year?
Oh, I would bet. I would place the bet. If Aaron
I would
Rodgers
take the bet.
If Aaron Rodgers was on the 2022 Tennessee Titans, they would go to the Super Bowl.
I would take the bet because I still get the Bills, the Bengals, and the Chiefs. And that's the only reason I'm doing. I'm not saying he's wrong.
Look, man,
I'm just saying I like my odds with the 3 teams and San Diego and everybody else. Or San Diego. That's the first time I've done that in a while.
Yeah, that's $1.
That's probably 10 now. It's been so
It should
long.
be
At
at least,
least
it should be
2.
at least 5.
Yeah, I was going to say at
Yeah.
least doubled at this point.
look, man, the AFC is tough.
Thank you for that.
Wow.
Wow, that's riveting.
That's
Whoa,
right.
amazing
Wow.
analysis.
I feel.
Wow.
Do we do the euchre line? Well, that's why he's the best in the business.
Right.
Good to see that broadcasting school is really paying off.
Will he bring Devontae with him?
He doesn't have to.
Doesn't need him. He's got AJ Brown.
And Julio doesn't have to. And Derrick Henry doesn't have to. I'm telling you, the way he runs a game, they would go. They would go to that defensive line.
Yeah,
They're tough.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they go to the Super Bowl. No doubt in my mind.
So you trade Tannehill?
Well, you'd have
Can't
to do
happen.
something. I mean, it'd be a cap nightmare, an absolute nightmare. I think it'd be worse than what the Rams had to deal with Stafford and Goff last year.
Really? But you're all in.
Well, really? Who's all in?
The Titans on a Super Bowl.
Well, no. If I'm running the Titans, we're all in. We don't know if they would do a move like this. We don't. There are a lot of teams that won't do it.
Wait, Aaron isn't under contract.
Yeah, he
is.
is.
He is?
He is.
Yeah, he has 1 year left. He has to be traded or released.
Yeah. They're not going to release him.
And of course they're not going to release him. They take a pretty big cap hit, by the way, just by trading him. Now they saved $19 million by trading him. I mean, his cap hit next year is 47. So if they're keeping him, they're going to have to give him a long-term extension. And
Where are you starting today, David?
what do you mean?
Where are you starting? Today was the day when? Where are you starting? What year?
1908.
All right. Thought you might start in 1194.
Oh, why?
Because $100,000 pound ransom is paid for King Richard the Lionhearted.
Huh.
That's a pretty big ransom in 1194.
It really is.
That's all. I just kind of roll through
Yeah.
this before to see if I find things that I want to chime in on.
Roll through that,
Oh.
I did look at my email because I get the This Day in History one. Unfortunately, it's during the show.
Yeah, it doesn't show that right.
6:04 is usually when I get it, and I can't wait till then.
It's Friday again. Saturday, Sunday. It's Friday again.
Okay. There's no need for you to sing.
Oh, he's happy. Whatever you got to do to keep showing up at 5:30. Come on. Phone.
Wow, they tried to kill the Shah today in 1949. I mean, that's a pretty
did.
good run after
Yeah.
that. He went 30 more years after that, David.
Yep.
That Paul Feinbaum caller diss. That's like one of the worst disses you've ever heard.
Oh, my
in your
God.
life.
Killing me.
That's not good.
Follows. We need follows, people. Come on, let's go. Hit the follow button.
Hey, we passed 700. Little goals. Little goals.
Thank you, Debbie Gibson, who followed us during the show today. I know it's not Debbie, it's D. Gibson, but I'm going Debbie.
Gibby. 15 seconds. Let's go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Got a lot going on this weekend. That's not football. Although, got the Pro Bowl, right?
Right.
Yeah, I don't count that. Sorry, I don't. You may. I don't.
I don't.
Right. About 7-8 million of you will watch it, though.
It'll
other
be
sport,
probably the most watched sports program of the weekend.
Oh, not even close.
It'll do better than the opening ceremonies.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. That's true. We do have the Olympics.
No, I mean, is anybody aware?
No. My guess is NBC primetime tonight. Once again, who are the Olympics for? They're for women. Women like the opening ceremonies. What is it? It's basically a big Macy's Day, Rose Bowl parade.
Right.
So, no, that'll win. But you got golf at Pebble and also in Fort Myers, the LPGA Tour. You got the NBA, NHL All-Star Weekend. You got the Clash at the Coliseum. So that's what you got going on.
Probably most fired up about the Clash.
I am. Sunday night, 6:00 on Fox. I am ready now for...
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul, to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When...
Actually, Mark, I'm going to go back to 1826.
All right.
The Last of the Mohicans is published. 1908, Oklahoma, which became a state in very late 1907, they added the star for Oklahoma, the 46th star, to our flag today in 1908. 1945, Felipe, I don't normally include you in this whole little thing here this day.
And there's a good reason for that.
But this is, old guy talking to young guy. You think of the big three as maybe starting about 15 years ago in Boston, with Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen. Other basketball fans from an earlier era might think of Boston and, Bird, Parrish, McHale, maybe in Los Angeles in the mid-'80s,
Oh, boy.
Magic, Kareem, and Worthy.
Wait for it. Here it comes, folks. Where are you going with your big three, David?
Miami, it's a decade ago with LeBron and Wade and Bosh. Right.
What's your big three, David?
The original big three.
This is the OG big three right here.
Okay. Was 1945 in Yalta. It was FDR, Churchill, and Stalin.
That big three.
That's the big three.
See, I know about that big three.
That's the
That's
big
a big three.
Right. They sat down, they mapped out how they were going to end this sucker, what they were going to do from there. Yeah. FDR was going to be dead in 10 weeks. All right. Right.
Huge three.
Big, yes. Huge three. Everything else, that's the big three on this date in 1945. 1969, John Madden hired as head coach of the Oakland Raiders. 1973, the Sabres and Islanders played a penalty-free game. I have no idea how that's possible.
Refs had to get out of town in a hurry. That's
all
all that is.
Man,
you know what it is? It's All-Star break.
Yeah, I guess. 1974, by the way, Randolph Hearst's daughter, Patty, at age 19, was kidnapped by the Sudanese Liberation Army. She would later sympathize with them and grab guns and start robbing banks. It's a complicated relationship, Mark. Rumors was released by Fleetwood Mac on this day in 77.
It is such a great album.
Yes,
I would
it is.
encourage those folks that haven't in a long time, do a start to finish. Put it on in your car. Listen to an album, not a song, an album.
45 years ago today, Rumors was released. Also, Paul McCartney and Wings released Maybe I'm Amazed. His best song with Wings?
I think so.
Studio 54 closed a grand closing party on this day in 1980, officially ending the disco era.
That is very true.
Baseball Hall of Fame Board of Directors on this day, Mark, in 1991, voted unanimously to bar Pete Rose from the ballot because they changed the rules and said, if you're on that permanently ineligible list, we can't even consider your candidacy. Of course, Major League Baseball called them and told them to do this, but Major League Baseball says the Hall of Fame acts independently.
Independently, yes.
Right.
Independent.
Right. On this day 25 years ago, Mario Lemieux scored his 600th goal. Could you imagine if Lemieux played in this era?
No, I mean,
his size, his speed,
in his hands,
and I mean, because they just killed him with cross checks and grabbing him and the whole deal. And
what he would have done in front of the net on the power play would be ridiculous.
Goodness, he'd score a goal a game on average nowadays.
Might.
Also, 25 years ago today, OJ found liable in civil court for the deaths of Nicole and Ron. Mark Zuckerberg launched Facebook 18 years ago today from his Harvard dormitory. Did you see how much money he lost yesterday?
A couple billion?
A couple billion. I think it's 26.
Ouch, that's a tough day.
Yeah. Can you imagine calling your financial advisor? Mark, you just need to be patient, wait it out, it'll come back. It's where you want Leo DiCaprio and the Wolf of Wall Street on the other end of the phone. 15 years ago today, Super Bowl 46 in Miami, Peyton's Indianapolis Super Bowl.
Who cares? Prince sang Purple Rain in the Rain.
Yes, he did. Colts 29, Bears 17, greatest halftime show ever. It was 4 years ago today in Minneapolis, the Philly Special in honor of Doug Peterson getting the Jags job. Could you imagine if you tapped him on the shoulder after that game and said, by the way, you're going to be fired in 3 years, and in 4 years, you're going to coach the Jags. But the Eagles beat the Patriots 41-33. Nick Foles, your MVP. Mark, Byron Nelson was born on this day 110 years ago. Charles Lindbergh was born on this day 120 years ago. And Rosa Parks was born on this day 109 years ago. Cameron Carpenter died on this day in 1983. Alice Cooper is 74. Lawrence Taylor is 63. Dennis Savard is 61. Everybody should do a spinorama today.
They should. I'm going to do one when I leave the building.
I was going to say, wait in line somewhere and just do a spinorama.
Well, that's what I'm going to walk. Like if I'm in a store today, I'm just going to walk right at someone. And right before I get them, I'm going to step, pivot, and spin around them.
Oscar De La Hoya is 49 today, and he's talking about fighting Floyd Mayweather again. Unbelievable. Carly Patterson, she of Olympic gymnastics fame. At 16, she was the all-around champion. Well, that was over half a lifetime ago because Carly is 34 today. Rob Corddry, the comedian, is 51 today. And that, Mark, is today was the day.
Since you put a couple of deaths in there, I'll give you Maurice White from Earth, Wind, and Fire died 6 years ago today. And a fun little story in my omissions. The Stooges played a bar today in Wayne, Michigan in 1974, where a biker gang was initiating a new member by having him throw eggs at lead singer Iggy Pop. Iggy Pop was rock and roll then. He's rock and roll now. He went into the crowd and fought the biker.
Couple of things that I left out, and I sometimes do this when I'm worried about time, but Disney released Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs on this day in 1938, and the first U.S. helicopter that was shot down in Vietnam occurred 60 years ago today in 62.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
You know, in Florida, we were starting to lose the pink flamingo. The numbers were dwindling. But for whatever reason, the numbers are way back up. So today's good is the resurgence of the pink flamingo. Because the bad and ugly are just something else.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
We need to have
No. We go to Bethesda, Maryland for the bad,
All right.
where Liam Gershoni is a horrible son, among other things.
Okay.
He had dinner with his dad. Dad apparently has got a lot of money in crypto. After dinner, they had some tea, and his son put some powder. He said it's going to give him energy. It wasn't anything that gave him energy. It was poison.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
Fortunately, the ex-wife of the husband realized something was wrong. Police were called. He would have died if officers were not brought in after he was basically out cold for 3 days. He's been charged on an attempted murder. That's the bad, by the way.
Well, you know, let's think this out, young man. So you're going to kill your dad. Do you have
get
the codes?
To get the account numbers.
Right.
Right.
Well,
he just poisoned them to get the account numbers, apparently. I don't know. I don't even know what to say on that one. But that is the bad. Because for the ugly, we go to Iowa, where Chris Elbanger has been sentenced to life because he killed his friend, Caleb Solberg. The reason that he killed him is that they were at a Moorhead bar, David.
Oh, that's just across the border from Fargo.
And Chris put mayonnaise on Caleb's food. Caleb doesn't like mayo. They started to fight with one another. Then threats happened. And then Chris ran over Caleb with his truck and then backed over him 2 other times to make sure he'd finish the job, all because, and I quote, one put mayonnaise on the other one's food. They were friends.
Wow. This wasn't even a Hellman's versus Miracle Whip.
And don't even get me started with Duke's, which is superior mayonnaise to all 3.
I would agree.
But no, this was not a
This was
salad dressing versus mayo argument. This was just a mayo on mayo crime.
I'm impressed you were able to spit that out because you had to think about it first. I'm surprised you didn't start laughing. Mayo on mayo crime.
And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, February the 4th, 2022.
Listen, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't for this weekend. I mean, it's the first one. I guess technically we have football because of the Pro Bowl, but you know, it's been a while. Think about what'd you watch back in August? I mean, that's where we are. This is a honeydew weekend, man. Next weekend, big weekend. Valentine's Day's Monday, the 14th. You can't wait to Monday the 14th to celebrate it.
Don't discount all day Saturday of next week being a honeydew list, too. You can pull this off.
Well, but you got to prepare for Saturday night. It's Valentine's night, though, don't you? I mean, are you going to, you know what? You going to wait till Monday for Valentine's Day? Or you going to move it up 2 days?
I'm going to do whatever my wife tells me.
She's not going to tell you what to do.
No, I'm going to ask her flat out. Are we going to
Day?
do this Saturday or are we doing this Monday? I will flat ask that question. When are we celebrating this?
Wow. Real romantic. You're going to ask.
I'm going to ask and hopefully get permission.
You know, you need to take control. You need to, and then all of a sudden, yeah, and then you need to say.
When I see the pictures of flowers on your dining room table, you can start telling me about giving orders.
I am. I'm buying Publix flowers for Saturday. I'm going all out. A couple of bags of Hershey dark chocolate with almonds. Oh, yeah. I'm going nuts, Mark. I mean, you add those two together, it's probably $20.
You are romance, David.
I mean, take her to the little place outside and get the quesadillas. I mean, with tip, I might blow $50 next
All
Saturday.
in, huh?
All in, Mark. All in.
Gotta get the chocolate rochers.
Then there's Super Bowl Sunday the next day, where I'll probably spend $150.
It's a lot of chocolate.
What can I tell you? The prices on those big bags of Fritos and Cheetos, they're going way up.
Like everything else. Hope you enjoyed the show today and all week long. We'll get ready for the Super Bowl next week. And then
what?
And then what, David? And then what?
We're going to have to talk about sports, ladies and gentlemen. Sports as a whole.
I have been pondering this for months now. The first day that I got here was October. I don't know this show without football. What's going to happen?
Well, we've done it for 15 plus years.
We're going to talk football.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we're probably still
Don't kid yourself.
Oh,
we'll
NFL
talk football.
offseason? Please.
Yeah.
The
Hello.
trades, free agency signings.
He's so much to learn.
He really does.
So much to learn. He's going to answer the phone. He's going to look in the Twitch chat room. And people are going to be like, what are you doing talking March Madness in March? Got to be kidding me. Where's Devontae Adams going?
March Madness is going to be wide open, too.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be great.
There's 8, 10, 12 teams that can
The
win that
NBA is
sucker.
going to be great. I mean, it really is. If you don't believe Phoenix is going to win, it'll be fantastic. Hockey's going to be awesome. I mean, there are 6 teams that could easily win the cup.
Have a terrific weekend, everyone. We'll be back Monday morning, 6 a.m. We thank you so much for listening to Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with